Warcraft Invasion of Marvel. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 326, Ronan the Accuser, Part 2. 100,000 kilometers beyond the moon. Hundreds of space battleships decorated the night sky. These huge ships, hundreds of meters long, suddenly appeared from the void, just like magic. In the flagship command room at the front, two blue-skinned Kree people looked at the moon in the distance. They wore dark green uniforms and dark green turbans, and one of them was holding a long-handled warhammer that was several sizes larger than Thor's hammer. "Prepare for missile attack," he said. The order was issued. All warships opened fire at the same time, and missiles poured towards the moon one after another. The burning flames illuminated the entire sky. Ronan, a total of 100 missiles were launched. The deputy couldn't help but say, in fact, only one is needed to blow up a city. There is no need to waste it. Attilan is a city built with imperial technology. It has strong defense capabilities. One is not enough, Ronan said. But that was a technological city nearly 10,000 years ago. All the equipment is outdated and can't stop modern missiles at all. Only 10 missiles are needed to completely destroy it, not to mention 100 missiles, which will kill all the Inhumans. The deputy obviously felt it was a pity. The Inhumans are the product of the Empire's genetic experiments. They are war weapons created to deal with the Skrulls. I thought it failed, but I didn't expect it to succeed. As long as we can control the Inhumans, we can get a large number of humanoid weapons to enhance our strength. Whether it is, or dealing with the recently rampant Thanos, we have new power and greater confidence. Why are you questioning my decision? Ronan said coldly, and the hammer in his hand emitted a cold light. The temperature of the entire command room dropped instantly, and it was so cold that it could freeze. The deputy was cold all over, as if falling into an ice cave. He felt the undisguised murderous intent and quickly stepped back a few steps. No, 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 you have the final say. Ronan snorted, thinking of the information he got from Nebula and Thanos' warning. The Inhumans are dangerous, and the leader of the Inhumans is dangerous. And now there is a person on the moon who is more dangerous than the leader of the Inhumans. Never give the other party a chance to fight back. It must be killed with the force of thunder. As long as Attilan is destroyed, and those Inhumans are killed, the Terrigen crystal hidden deep underground in Attilan and tightly sealed can be obtained. Then, as long as a large number of Earthlings with Inhuman genes are captured on Earth and a Terrigen mutation ceremony is held, a large number of humanoid weapons can be obtained. As long as the Inhumans are equipped with high-tech neural controlled devices produced by the Empire, they can be turned into puppets. Puppets who only obey orders, and are not afraid of death. This is the safest way. Anyone who blocks my way to becoming stronger must be destroyed. Ronan said silently in his heart, whether it is Black Bolt, Immortal Iron Fist, Supreme Wisdom, or even Thanos. At the same time as the Inhuman reported, the old King's spirit has extended beyond Attilan and seen the scene in the distant sky. Without the obstruction of the atmosphere, everything in space can be seen clearly. At a distance of 100,000 kilometers, no matter how good the eyesight is, the warships cannot be seen, but the missile array that is getting closer and closer, and the high energy particle flow ejected by the thrusters on the buttocks, make them look like comets, which are particularly clear. What the hell is that? Lao Wang was a little surprised, not knowing what happened. Looking at this situation, it is definitely not the Earth. Even Wakanda, which has the most advanced technology, can't do it. They don't even think about flying out of the Earth. They stay in a small place all day to guard the vibranium mine. I don't know what they think. Could it be other civilizations in the universe? Advanced civilizations? There are too many civilizations in the universe, and Lao Wang really doesn't know many of them. Many of them are related to the Earth, and there seems to be only one that is related to the moon. Could it be the Kree Empire fleet? Lao Wang touched his chin. Although he doesn't understand technology, being able to launch missiles from such a distance is much more powerful than intercontinental missiles. At least it is at the level of nuclear fusion, and it looks very large. Each missile is about 5 meters in diameter and more than 20 meters long, far exceeding the legendary Big Ivan. That is to say, even if the technological content is equivalent to that of Big Ivan, the equivalent of any one of them is more than 10 times that of Big Ivan. What is the reality? The technology of the Kree Empire is thousands or tens of thousands of years ahead of the Earth. Although the development speed has always been very slow, no matter how slow it is far from being comparable to the Earth. The power of the missile is definitely greater than imagined. Big Ivan is equivalent to 50 million tons of TNT. The radius of the fireball produced by the explosion is more than 4,600 meters. The mushroom cloud produced is nearly 40 kilometers wide and about 64 kilometers high, which is more than 7 times the altitude of Mount Everest. The hot wind generated by the explosion can even cause third-degree burns to people 50 kilometers away. The flash of the explosion can cause severe pain and burns to the eyes of people 43 kilometers away, and even cause cataracts and blindness. The atmospheric disturbance caused by it surrounds the Earth 3 times. The energy that burst out in an instant has increased the instantaneous total energy output of human beings on Earth by hundreds of times, reaching the standard of the first-level civilization in the universe. During World War II, the United States dropped Little Boy on Hiroshima, Japan, killing 200,000 people. Big Ivan is 3,800 times more powerful than Little Boy. What does that mean? Any missile flying in space is far more powerful than Big Ivan. Just one missile can easily destroy any international metropolis on Earth and kill millions of people. And there seem to be 100 such missiles. Damn, which butterfly flapped its wings to attract so many missiles? It's courting death. Lao Wang was speechless. If these missiles were allowed to fly over, Attilan would definitely be doomed. Even Black Bolt couldn't stop it. It's time to save the world again. Lao Wang was helpless. The ally who just started negotiations can't be doomed like this, right? Then how can I expand my base in the afterlife? The Heart of Azeroth flashed to blow light, and Lao Wang and Sky, Whiplash, and Gordon disappeared. Attilan, Terrigen Mutation Ceremony Hall. The Accusation Fleet. Seeing the starship in the light curtain, Karnak's face was very ugly. The Kree Empire attacked us. How could it be such a coincidence? It couldn't be that Director Wang who led them. He disappeared. It must be him. Gorgon muttered, shouting that he would go to find Lao Wang to settle accounts. Gone. People only then noticed that the 4 people who came from Earth really disappeared. They came, the Kree came, and then left again, which was too coincidental. Could it be that they really led them? No. Black Bolt squeezed Medusa's hand, and Medusa said in a deep voice, if Director Wang wants to deal with Attilan, he only needs to kill all of us. This is not what I said. It was the king who said that Director Wang is stronger than all of us. How is this possible? Maximus was in a bad mood. He always believed that the Earth was the home of the Inhumans, and everyone should unite to kill them back. Black Bolt has always been unwilling to go to war with humans, so he thought about overthrowing, and then relying on Attilan's technology and the abilities of the Inhumans, defeating humans and becoming the master of the Earth. But now, Director Wang alone can destroy the entire Attilan. How can we fight this? For a moment, Maximus was dejected. My great cause was frustrated. Chapter 327. Let's set off some fireworks for you to watch. Part 3. If Director Wang wants to deal with us, he only needs to destroy Attilan's power engine. When the atmosphere disappears, most of the Inhumans will die. So he is not an enemy. Karnak was very clear-headed. Even if they did not lead the Kree here, they escaped at such a critical moment, so they are not good people. Gorgon had a very bad impression of Lao Wang and others. Anyone who was abused, as soon as they met, would not be in a good mood, especially twice. Didn't he say he wanted to form an alliance with us? How can there be an ally who would ignore us when in danger? Gorgon was very angry. This is our own business. We can't always rely on others. Medusa turned her head and asked, how long will it take for the accusation fleet to arrive? The Inhuman who reported the news earlier replied, the fleet is currently 100,000 kilometers away from the moon and has just jumped out of the jump point. The distance is too close to make space jumps and sublight speed flight impossible. They will maintain supersonic flight and arrive in about an hour. However, the missiles they launch are too fast and can arrive in 3 minutes at most. 3 minutes. Medusa immediately ordered, activate the defense system immediately. Everyone retreat from Eldrac, go to Earth. Eldrac is a special inhuman. After the Terrigen mutation ritual, he turned into a huge building, located in the center of Attilan, mutated into a big mouth at the entrance of a tunnel, which can connect other planets and other dimensions. His ability is similar to that of the big dog Tetanus, or even stronger. The only weakness is that he cannot move and is easily destroyed. Attilan already had a retreat plan and even prepared to build a base on Mars. But everything is not ready yet, and the only option now is to retreat to Earth. It's too late. Carnaxide, there are 100,000 people in Attilan, and the missiles will arrive in 3 minutes. The defense system will definitely not be able to stop them. At most, only a very small number of people will escape, and the rest will die. Although dying early or late is death, I still don't want to die early. I haven't married yet, I haven't given birth to children, I haven't. Shut up. Medusa shouted, interrupted forcefully, and then shouted, Big Dog, send the king to Earth immediately, and then come back. No, dear, I can't leave. Black Bolt touched Big Dog's head, and a mental message came into Medusa's mind. As a king, I can't abandon my people. But, no buts, I'm the king. Black Bolt said, Big Dog, send me to space, and then come back immediately, and send the people here to Earth. How many others can survive? I can't control it. You will die. Medusa shouted, you can't stop so many missiles. I will try my best. Black Bolt rubbed Big Dog's head. A flash of white light passed, and Black Bolt disappeared. The next second Big Dog returned. It came up to Medusa, and was about to send her away. Suddenly, the alien who had reported the news before cried out, Ah! Big Dog, wait a minute. Medusa looked at the alien. What happened again? The alien pointed to the light and shadow in front and said, those missiles were intercepted. Medusa's heart suddenly sank. Did Black Bolt take action? He will die. He just fought with Director Wang, and there is not much electromagnetic energy in his body. If he continues to consume it, he will not even be able to survive in space, and he will not be able to stop the explosion of the Kree Empire's missiles. Big Dog, send everyone away immediately. Medusa made a prompt decision. I will stay and organize the others to retreat. The king's sacrifice cannot be in vain. No, not His Majesty the King. The alien stammered, yes, it's those people who came from Earth. Medusa was stunned. She looked at the light and shadow and saw an amazing picture. What 4 people? There are obviously only 2 people. Where are the other 2 people? Another place not far from Attilan. The Quinjet took off and flew away from Attilan at a very fast speed. In the command room, Gordon was a little restless. Isn't this bad? We don't care about Sky and Director Wang. We don't care about our fellow Inhumans. How are we going to explain to Jiraiya and the Council of Elders, and how are we going to explain to the people of the world when we go back? Are you worried about Director Wang? Then you might as well worry about ourselves. He is safer than us. Whip, who had returned to human form, smiled and said, when has Director Wang ever done anything he was not sure of? Since he went to intercept those missiles, he will definitely not die, and his teleportation ability seems to be stronger than yours, and he can escape at any time. Gordon, what you said really makes sense, but is it necessary to bring this up specifically? It's okay that I'm not as good as that dog, but now I'm not even as good as Director Wang. He said helplessly, there are too many missiles. Even if Director Wang can intercept them all and let them explode in space, if the distance is too close, the residual power can destroy Attilan. If he is really sure, he will not let us run first. This is of course reasonable. Whip nods and says, that's why I said we should worry about ourselves, not Director Wang. Okay, don't think too much. Dun Huang, it's too dangerous here. Take us back to Earth. Sorry, Director Wang's order is to linger nearby, not to return to Earth. An ethereal voice sounded. Whip was stunned. Is this the rhythm of letting us watch the fireworks? Okay, let's watch it. He looked up and saw a burst of fire and brilliant fireworks in the distant sky. In space, Lao Wang and Sky stood side by side. A huge air layer wrapped them to ensure Sky's breathing. Looking at the missiles that were getting bigger and bigger, Lao Wang chuckled. Sky, I have known you for so many years, but I have never created romance for you. I'm sorry for you. How about setting off a fireworks show for you today? Okay. Sky smiled like a flower. Zhao Hong, I leave it to you. Lao Wang undressed, but the crimson magic belt refused to let go. A divine thought came into Lao Wang's mind. What are you talking about? I don't know you. Although the core temperature of those missile explosions will exceed 100 million degrees, you are so fast. If you fly a little farther before the explosion, it will probably be only a few million degrees, and you won't be burned. Lao Wang snorted. What, you don't want to be with me? Then go ahead. No one will stop you. The crimson magic belt hurriedly touched Lao Wang's face, trying to please him infinitely, and another divine thought came over. Is it too much to resist the high temperature? Lao Wang was helpless. Okay, I'll give you some more Titan essence. The blood of Azeroth turned into pure energy essence and passed through the heart of Azeroth into the crimson magic belt. This guy was like taking a 10-in-1 tonic pill, dancing his body, as charming as he could be. Don't be so coquettish, hurry up. Lao Wang scolded. Whoosh, a red light flashed, and the crimson magic belt disappeared. Dun Huang, remember to record it. Lao Wang whispered. An oversized camera flew out of the heart of Azeroth and started up. It started. Lao Wang held Sky's hand and looked into the distance. Chapter 328 Black Bolt's Showtime, Part 1. The Kree missiles were not launched at the same time. Considering various factors, there was a certain delay. One of them was launched the earliest and was closest to the moon. It flew at a speed of at least 1,000 times the speed of sound, but suddenly encountered a huge sky curtain. It was a red satin sky curtain, more than 1 kilometer wide and more than 10 kilometers long, blocking the moon and the missile. The huge impact of the missile's flight knocked the center of the satin more prominent than the lumbar disc, and also slowed down in the process. The satin sky curtain quickly shrank, wrapped around the surface of the missile, and pulled hard. The missile turned around reluctantly. Then, when other missiles flew over, it suddenly detonated. Boom. Sound cannot be transmitted in space, but light can. No one can hear such a distant sound, but whether it is Whiplash and Gordon in the Quinjet, or Medusa, Konak, and Crystal far away in Attilan, they all saw the same scene at the same time. The first missile exploded, and the millions of degrees of high temperature and the insertion of shrapnel caused a chain explosion of other missiles. Each missile is an oversized firework, decorating the cold and silent space. At this moment, everyone in Attilan was attracted. Even though they were thousands of kilometers away, they could still see this grand fireworks display, which was more spectacular than 10,000 meteor showers. Look. What a magnificent sight. Apart from the Big Bang in the simulation, this is the most beautiful sight I have ever seen. The brilliance of that moment warmed the entire sky. Maybe one day we will be destined to die and return to the cold universe, but at least at this moment, we have witnessed the splendor of life and the brilliance of technology. With these, our lives are no longer lonely and cold. Carol philosopher middle school Nike, of course, would not miss such a good opportunity to sing the beauty of life with an aria of compassion and ultimate concern for the universe and life. The fiery red hair strangled his neck, and Medusa continued to watch without looking back, reweighing the strength comparison between the earth and the moon in her heart. It was too disparate. Black Bolt was right. The moon must not go to war with the earth, otherwise only destruction awaited Attilan. Trying to attack the earth with a population of 7 billion with a city of only 100,000 people. Maximus, your role is to help Attilan reduce its population and solve internal problems. Black Bolt has kept you for a reason. Floating in the space blankly, Black Bolt was stunned. He had just teleported here and was about to use his life to stop the attack of the Kree and strive for the possibility of survival for his people, but he found that he was not needed at all. A full 100 missiles, all solved. It was solved thousands of kilometers away. No matter how strong the explosion was, it would not have much impact on the moon. Although the shock wave generated by the explosion would sweep across Attilan, and many of the shrapnel would fall on Attilan, Attilan's defense system could completely block it, and no one would die. The crisis of the Inhumans was solved so easily. How did this happen? This is easier than that woman back then. Does it look good? Lao Wang asked with his head tilted. It looks great. Sky stared at it intently. Are there any more? Her eyes were shining, full of anticipation, and she obviously hadn't seen enough, and her face was full of happiness. The fireworks set off by the explosion of 100 nuclear bombs are indeed much more beautiful than the $10 fireworks. Lao Wang, there are more, but I'm afraid we have to do it ourselves. Another red light flashed, and the Crimson Demon Belt flew in front of Lao Wang. It was no longer the original appearance, but was tattered, and even broken into more than a dozen pieces. The surface was wrinkled, and many silk threads came out, so pitiful. A divine thought was transmitted to Lao Wang's mind, and the Crimson Demon Belt was crying. You said you are finished now, and you need a lot of Titan essence to repair it before you can continue to serve me? Seeing the Crimson Demon Belt nod, Lao Wang understood. In other words, you are useless now? Then why should I keep you? Go back to the New York Temple. The Supreme Sorcerer misses you. The Crimson Demon Belt trembled all over and quickly returned to its original state. It was still as smooth as silk, and it held Lao Wang's slender waist. He used the massage techniques he learned from various bathing centers, and it was quite comfortable. Pretend again next time. I really don't want you anymore. Sensing the energy fluctuations on the magic belt that were much weaker than before, Lao Wang had to give it some more Titan essence. It was not Captain Marvel, and it was really a bit overwhelmed after enduring so many strong nuclear explosions in an instant. Lao Wang was kind and never neglected his employees. The battle has just begun. Lao Wang's telepathic voice was transmitted to Sky and Black Bolt's minds. The Kree counterattack has begun. Now it's your turn to perform. The flagship of the Accusation Corps. Seeing all the missiles exploded, Ronan and his deputy were both petrified. How is this possible? The moon's defense system is very backward and can't withstand our missile attack. Ronan didn't understand. Could it be that this batch of missiles were inferior products, not produced by the Empire, but Goblin technology? That's not a defense system, Ronan. The deputy whispered. It's a ribbon. The previous scene was replayed on the screen in front of him, and Ronan was stunned. A piece of silk ribbon actually stopped so many missiles? Millions of degrees of heat didn't burn it into slag? When did the backward moon have such a powerful thing? Could it be that Atalan's technology level is actually higher than that of the Kree Empire? Just then, the screen switched and split into two. On the left screen, there was a middle-aged man in a black combat uniform with a fork-shaped antenna on his head, which was as weird as it could be. On the right screen, there were two young people. The slightly fat man was holding the plump woman, flying towards this side. The deputy said quickly, the one on the left is Black Bolt, the inhuman king of the moon. His superpower is sound waves. His specific strength is unknown. He has hardly ever taken action. The man on the right is Director Wang of the Schengen Bureau on Earth, and also the immortal Iron Fist of Kunlun. According to the intelligence we stole from Earth, he has many good records, and is very strong. The woman he is hugging is called Sky, known as the Shockwave Girl. She can manipulate shockwaves, and is also very strong. Looking at the large amount of information appearing on the screen, Ronan's expression was solemn, and he ordered in a deep voice, attack with all your strength and destroy them. One by one, the hatches opened, and thousands of small aircraft appeared. These are interstellar fighters that have only been put into use in the past 10 years. Although they are extremely small and unmanned, the weapons they carry are very advanced, even more advanced than those used to deal with that woman back then. Ronan is very confident. Even if that woman appears in front of him now, he has the ability and confidence to kill her. After all, although that woman has obtained part of the energy of the cosmic cube, and has the ability to continuously absorb and manipulate cosmic energy, although she can fly at the speed of light, release energy shockwaves, withstand nuclear explosions, and block missiles fired by herself, there is still a way to deal with her. As long as she is locked, she can be killed. The starfighters are densely packed and quickly surrounded the enemy. A large number of laser weapons are aimed at the enemy, and then, boom. Before he can fire, he sees Black Bolt take a deep breath and then open his mouth. Most of the electromagnetic energy collected before was poured out in an instant, turning into a terrifying pseudo-sound wave, aiming at the nearest starfighter. The next moment, the fighter exploded. The wreckage was torn into pieces and then flew backwards at a very fast speed, hitting more fighters, causing more explosions. Only half a minute later, more than 100 fighters exploded one after another, and the first fireworks were set off in space. Chapter 329 Director Wang is a Mystery, Part 2. So strong. Ronan simulated in his mind, and soon found that, even though he had the universal weapon, that condensed the highest technology of the Kree Empire, if he really confronted head-on, he still seemed to be unable to withstand the opponent's roar. Ronan. The deputy suddenly pointed at the screen and said, his energy intensity has dropped by 80%, and the electromagnetic energy in his body is almost exhausted. Now is the best time. Ronan's eyes focused. All fighters, siege Black Bolt. The interstellar fighters turned their noses one after another, and all the onboard weapons were aimed at Black Bolt. Whoosh, whoosh. Thousands of laser beams and tens of thousands of high-speed kinetic bullets covered Black Bolt. Get out. Black Bolt opened his mouth again. The high-speed kinetic bullets that were still in flight suddenly deformed one after another and then flew back at a faster speed. The laser beams were also disturbed, no longer condensed but dispersed. Most of the attacks were destroyed, but hundreds of laser beams still hit Black Bolt. The extremely high temperature burned his skin. He had lost almost all of his electromagnetic energy and could only resist with his body. His face showed pain. No matter how he dodged, it was useless. The automatic aiming system of the interstellar fighter had an accuracy of millimeters. If they wanted to shoot your eyes, they would never shoot your ears. In this case, even if his physique was almost equal to that of the abomination, how could he resist? Every laser could melt steel or even evaporate it. Only Black Bolt's physique was far superior to that of ordinary people, so he could barely resist it. He's going to be roasted. Ronan was determined in his heart and cast his eyes on the other two enemies. In the Terrigen Mutation Ceremony Hall in Attilan, Medusa saw all this through the light screen in front of her, and her heart suddenly tightened. Black Bolt. She wanted to order the big dog Tetanus to pick him up, but she knew that she couldn't do that. As long as Tetanus was teleported, he would be shot into a sieve within a second, and even evaporated instantly by the high temperature laser, leaving no residue or a drop of blood. The Inhumans are very powerful, but they are still not enough in front of the Kree's high technology. After all, the Inhumans themselves are the Kree's biological weapons. It is not common in the universe for weapons to sing. Although the Inhumans thought about counter-attacking Earth, they never thought about counter-attacking the Kree Empire. They were not on the same level. Karnak whispered, history will remember your feat, your majesty. Although your efforts did not change the fate of Attilan's destruction, your actions were meaningless, and your choices were stupid. Some of us will survive. The survivors will spread your heroic deeds, and your story will be engraved in people's hearts in the form of operas, comics, novels, etc., to inspire the surviving Inhumans and let them live a good life. Rest in peace, your majesty. Before he finished speaking, the fiery red hair that had been loosened was tightened again, and it was not loosened until Karnak fainted due to lack of oxygen. You asked for it. Gorgon snorted, and he had long disliked Karnak, even though they were brothers. Medusa pursed her lips. Is this the final ending? If so, then, what is that? In the light and shadow, all the lasers suddenly disappeared. Black Bolt, who no longer looked like a human, floated naked in space. His skin had completely disappeared, revealing his bleeding muscles and white bones. His chest was still rising and falling slightly, proving that he was still alive. Crystal threw herself into Medusa's arms, covering her eyes, and not daring to look, but soon she became firm, and moved her fingers a little. At this time, a man appeared. The green mist wrapped around his body, and penetrated into Black Bolt's body. His muscles moved slowly and powerfully, and his skin quickly grew out. It's Director Wang. Medusa breathed a sigh of relief, and suddenly felt a little ashamed. Just 2 minutes ago, they were still blaming Director Wang, but in the blink of an eye he saved the King of Attilan and repaid evil with virtue. His mind is as broad as the sea. Director Wang is such a good man, she thought. Director Wang, thank you. Black Bolt's face turned pale, and a thought came into the old king's mind. My electromagnetic energy is exhausted, and the Kree fleet has not suffered much loss. They still have many fighters and missiles like this. The next battle. His face was gloomy. This was the sadness of the weak. In front of the huge fleet of the accusation group, even he had no power to resist, and could only be slaughtered. Just leave it to me. The old king opened the door casually, and said with a smile, "Your Majesty, the queen and the princess are still waiting for you." Looking at the old king deeply, Black Bolt said, "The relationship between the aliens and humans may not be very good, but Director Wang, you are my benefactor and the benefactor of all aliens. If we can all survive, I will make a promise to you on behalf of Attilan. I will agree to one of your requests, without harming the interests of Attilan." The old king smiled. With a push of his backhand, Black Bolt flew into the portal, and returned to Attilan. The portal closed, and the old king looked into the distance. One after another, the interstellar fighters exploded. It was different from before. This time the enemy is not the Crimson Band or the Black Bolt King, but the old king. Another old king. A large amount of wind element condensed into the storm spirit, which, under the amplification of the fist of the heavens, manipulated storms and lightning, and shuttled through space at a very fast speed. A cane was in his hand. Fuzan, the Wanderer's friend, the cane of the Monkey King in World of Warcraft, came from the first tree of Pandaria, and was also one of the earliest trees in the entire Azeroth. After being used by the Titan Guardian Freya, the Supreme God King Lang and the Monkey King for countless tens of thousands of years, it absorbed the energy of the Titans, the energy of nature, and the energy of the gods of the wilderness. After being tempered again and again, it became the artifact of the Monk Brewmaster. The hardness is incomparable to ordinary weapons. In the hands of the Storm Spirit, every attack of Fuzan carries the power of wind and thunder, and the high-tech enhanced composite armor cannot stop it, so those starfighters fall one after another. A Storm Spirit alone is enough to deal with these not so strong starfighters. Countless lasers hit the Storm Spirit, and then passed through his body. The Storm Spirit itself is composed of wind element. It has no entity, and is naturally not afraid of this level of energy attack. In less than a minute, 7 fighters were damaged. Even on the space station, the strength of the Storm Spirit should not be underestimated. So this is the real strength of Director Wang. Attilan, the just returned Black Bolt, was full of emotion. He actually fought against the entire fleet of the accusation group with his own strength. Are all the people on Earth so strong? Or is it that only Director Wang is so strong? Is this the correct way to open the element? Maybe I should ask him, and worship him as a teacher. Crystal murmured to himself, "It's a pity that he can only control the wind element, while I can control 4 element. He can't teach me all. It's still not enough, Your Majesty." Gorgon snorted. Although he had to admit Director Wang's strength, he still believed that the outcome of this war would not change. The enemy is the entire fleet of the accusation group. I don't know how many missiles I launched and starfighters I released before. I don't know how many weapons are still on those battleships that have not been used. Want to defeat them? How is that possible? Director Wang should have another trump card. Black Bolt's voice rang in everyone's mind. What we have seen may only be the tip of the iceberg of his strength. He is a mystery that no one can see through. Chapter 330, I'm the Power of Dalaran, Part 3. In space, the old king returned to Sky. Looking at the Storm Spirit who was fighting in the distance, and was soon targeted, Sky was a little worried. "King, a lot of the elemental energy of the Storm Spirit has been destroyed. This can't go on. The Storm Spirit is the embodiment of energy, and energy creatures can also be destroyed. Those bullets and missiles did not cause much damage to the Storm Spirit, but those lasers, as well as the shock waves, heat waves, and high-energy radiation particle flows generated by the missile explosions were enough to cause great damage to the Storm Spirit, or even destroy it. What should we do? It really can't work." The old king smiled slightly. "So, we need to do it ourselves." At the chest, the Heart of Azeroth emitted a blue magic aura. The two came to the nearest battleship, and flew to the outer armor. Under their feet was a space battleship that was hundreds of meters long. The thick reactive armor layer and composite armor layer were enough to withstand the attack of ordinary nuclear bombs. If you don't hesitate to spend energy to open the energy shield and gravitational field, as long as the distance is not too close, even hydrogen bombs will find it difficult to explode. In a cosmic war, pure physics is meaningless, and energy and force fields are the eternal themes. There is no eternal matter, only eternal energy and eternal force fields. It's your turn. Lao Wang said. Yes. Sky half crouched, pressed his hands on the outer armor, and felt the vibration frequency of the armor. Everything has a frequency, including sound waves, electromagnetic waves, and all visible or invisible light. In theory, Sky can manipulate all fluctuations, and disintegrate any matter from the level of elementary particles. In another parallel universe, Sky single-handedly destroyed the entire Ultron core, which was even more powerful than the performance of Scarlet Witch in Avengers: Age of Ultron. But now, her ability is not strong enough, and her control is not proficient enough. It is impossible to sense the vibration frequency of every part of the entire Star Wars at once, but if it is just a small piece of armor, it is not difficult at all. Soon, in the continuous small vibration, a small piece of armor was lifted, revealing everything inside. Should we go in? Sky was eager to try, or destroy this warship directly. Give me some time, I can detonate its power source. No, don't. Lao Wang was about to say something, but his face suddenly changed. Follow me. He held Sky's hand, and the two disappeared in an instant, and got into the warship. The next moment, a layer of energy shield appeared outside the armor, covering the entire warship, and then the force field layer. The cold mechanical voice rang out throughout the warship. Alarm! Alarm! The outer armor of Area 51 has been damaged, and an unidentified object has been detected entering Area 51. Immediately start the isolation procedure, and enter the first level of alert. Initiate Article 31, Section 25 of the Safety Regulations. Action. Lao Wang. After a long chatter, I couldn't understand what you were saying. What on earth did you want to say? Of course, I knew it must be related to me. Dun Huang, can you hack into the operating system of the spacecraft? Lao Wang asked. I'm sorry, the spacecraft system is very advanced, and cannot be hacked for the time being. Dun Huang's voice rang out. Then let's invade manually. Lao Wang patted Sky on the shoulder. According to the Kree's style of doing things, I suspect that, if they are really forced, they can directly activate the self-destruct program. Or let other warships open fire on this warship. I will attract attention, and I will leave this to you. Try to keep the warship intact, and paralyze the system. If you can capture the people alive, then capture them alive. Is it okay? No problem. Sky was full of confidence. The warship has activated the energy shield and gravitational field, and the interference is quite serious, and the transmission accuracy is limited. It's okay for me to teleport out, but it's almost impossible to teleport in. I won't be able to take care of you at that time, so be careful. Lao Wang tore off his belt. Zia Hong, take good care of Sky. Crimson Magic Belt nodded quickly. Lao Wang opened the door and disappeared. Teleportation itself is related to energy and force fields. Although it will not be restricted by entities, it will be interfered by energy and force fields. Even Lao Wang's mind is disturbed, and it is difficult to break through the double obstacles of energy shields and gravitational fields. Magic and technology are interconnected. The energy shield is very similar to the mage armor or magic barrier of the mages, while the force field layer is similar to spells such as the offset, force field and gravity out of control, which are all the manipulation of energy and force fields. In areas where energy is chaotic or uncontrolled, magic is often disturbed. Lao Wang is equivalent to teleporting through two layers of barriers. Although it is not a teleportation blockade barrier specifically for teleportation, it still has a lot of interference. The direct result is, Lao Wang's original destination is 2 kilometers away. As soon as he appeared, Lao Wang was locked. Hundreds of aircraft and all the warship's weapon systems all aimed at Lao Wang in an instant, then fired. However, none of them hit, because Lao Wang had disappeared and appeared in another place dozens of kilometers away. In interstellar war, the power of an individual is really insignificant. Looking at the huge fleet of the accusation group, Lao Wang couldn't help but sigh. In front of such a terrible fleet, the Hulk is nothing, Captain America is nothing, and Iron Man is nothing. No matter how powerful the Hulk is, it is difficult for him to withstand the simultaneous attack of thousands of lasers, not to mention that in space, he can't even move, just a living target. Captain America's fighting skills may be at the peak of mortals. The vibranium shield in his hand can withstand extremely terrible energy attacks and rebound them, but his nerve reaction speed is limited, and no matter how fast he is, it can't be as fast as the cosmic light brain. Before he raised the shield, perhaps countless lasers had already shot him through. Even the auxiliary combat system of Iron Man's suit can simulate his fighting style and calculate his next move, not to mention the Kree spacecraft with a higher level of technology. Although Iron Man has mastered technology far beyond that of humans on Earth, and Iron Man's suit can be used even in the Milky Way, on the interstellar battlefield, except for landing battles and boarding battles, individual equipment has no meaning. No matter how powerful the mecha is, there are defects in energy reserves, weapons and equipment, defense capabilities, etc. When facing a real space giant ship, it is weak and pitiful. This point is well reflected in Avengers Endgame. When Thanos' spaceship appeared in the sky, when Thanos ordered fire coverage, Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Black Panther, War Machine, Falcon, even Thor, Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange, these extremely powerful beings, had to dodge in a hurry and were exhausted. The Kree's technological level may not be as good as Thanos, but there are too many star warships here, and the combined attack power and fire coverage capabilities are probably far greater than Thanos' spaceship. If he had the same strength as Captain Marvel, Lao Wang would naturally have nothing to fear, and would go up and confront him head on. But he didn't. With his personal strength alone, Lao Wang, who is far from reaching 1% of his peak state, can hardly break through even the energy shield and force field layer, and just now, all the warships turned on these two functions at the same time. The last blood of Azeroth. Lao Wang sighed and whispered, "There is only one way. I'm the power of Dalaran." Chapter 331. One Finger Pierces the Starship, Part 1. There is a very special planet in World of Warcraft, called Azeroth. There is a very special city in Azeroth, called Dalaran. It is a magical city that is said to have existed for 2,700 years. It was built by humans and high elves, and even attracted the attention of red dragons. It may not be as legendary as Kirazan, and it may not have tens of thousands of mages like Silvermoon City, but it also has its own characteristics. It has many artifacts. When it was destroyed again, rebuilt again, and finally flew into the sky, it became the only floating city in the Alliance. Later, it even attracted blue dragons. After a certain blue dragon king mage joined, he brought new abilities to Dalaran. Based on the research on the blue dragon artifact Focusing Iris, the Kirin Tor Council invented a very powerful weapon, Focusing Crystal. The Focusing Crystal, which is equivalent to a weakened version of Focusing Iris, can accurately strike anywhere in a large area after accumulating enough magic network energy. In order to commemorate the mage leader and Kirin Tor speaker Lucky Ronin who made Dalaran fly into the sky, this weapon was named after Ronin's title, the Power of Dalaran. It is the symbol of Dalaran's power. The old king didn't know the defensive capabilities of the energy shield and force field layer of the Kree space battleship, so he tried his best. He exhausted all the blood of Azeroth and caused the most powerful attack so far. As the old king pointed his finger, a bright blue beam of light appeared from the void, and then in the next moment, it crossed a distance of more than 100 kilometers and hit the flagship of the Accusation fleet. Boom. The whole space seemed to ripple. In the old king's perception, the energy shield and force field layer of the flagship only symbolically resisted for a while, and then it was broken by the strongest attack from a floating city. Then, the heavy armor was also broken. Then the entire battleship was penetrated. The blue beam of light flashed and disappeared from the void, leaving behind the hollow battleship. The power of a single blow is so terrifying. The Quinjet was suspended in space near Attilan, and Whiplash opened his mouth wide. As a psychology doctor who had some knowledge of high technology, he had watched many interstellar war movies, and was familiar with various types of wars. But he never thought that there would be such a way. Who had ever seen that sudden attack? Director Wang just pointed, and the blue beam of light appeared, like a Kree laser beam magnified countless times, piercing the Kree warship that was obviously the flagship. What kind of miracle was this? What happened? Gordon, who could not see, expressed helplessness. Nothing. Whiplash whispered. Director Wang used a finger to pierce the Kree warship. Whiplash was stunned. Finger? Why didn't you say to use a bamboo pole? Attilan. Looking at the light and shadow in front of her, Medusa immediately turned her head to look at Maximus. What kind of attack method is this? Appearing directly from the void, there are no warships or gun muzzles, and there is no glowing woman back then. It is unpredictable and naturally impossible to defend against. The attack power is so strong that even the flagship of the Kree can't stop it. This is too terrible. Others also looked at Maximus. He is one of the most remarkable scientists in Attilan and the only weapons expert present. Who else should I ask if not him? Maximus hesitated. It seems to be some kind of ultra-long range attack using space jump technology. He shook his head and rejected it halfway through. This is impossible. This method is too advanced. I doubt that the Kree Empire can do it. Otherwise, it can destroy Attilan by launching directly from millions of light years away. There is no need to run so far. This technology has too high technological content. First of all, it must have the ability to perform space jumps anytime and anywhere without having to pass through the jump points that have been arranged long ago. Secondly, it must have the ability to accurately locate at ultra long distances. This accuracy is too low. How can it be done? This can't be the technology of the Earth, right? Or, this is not technology at all, but magic? No one knows what kind of attack this is. The boy next door, Director Wang, is once again shrouded in mystery. I don't know why, but I always feel that Wang can only hit once. Konak, who finally woke up, muttered, like most men, he's done for after one hit. Medusa glared at Karnak. Gorgon said, it's possible. Karnak's intuition has never been wrong. So what? Medusa shook her head. This one hit is enough. Even if the accuser Onan guessed that Director Wang can only hit by himself, would he dare to bet? The most important thing is he still alive? Ronan is still alive. At the moment, when the azure beam of light came, the starship barely moved a little distance and avoided the command room. He was not hit by the beam of light, so he is still alive. Although the entire flagship was completely scrapped, and because the power source was destroyed, the battleship began to explode, but no matter what, he is still alive. That's enough. A beam of traction light was projected over, pulling him and his deputy to the nearest spaceship. Ronan breathed a sigh of relief. Such a powerful attack may only happen once, otherwise he would not have waited until now, and would have taken action long ago. The panicked deputy immediately understood. When he heard this attack may require a huge price, so that guy was useless at the beginning. Ronan snorted. Next, we will attack with all our strength, and must kill that guy. The deputy nodded. It is best to capture him alive, so that we can get his secret. Ronan said coldly, after getting his secret, I will use the most terrible punishment to deal with him. The deputy immediately thought of 108 kinds of torture. I will have someone inject him with the best life-sustaining medicine. He must not die before all the tortures are used up. The two of them talked to each other, comforting and encouraging each other. The panicked heart slowly calmed down. The whole world was beautiful, the space was so quiet, and the universe was full of a peaceful atmosphere. Suddenly, oh no, he raised his hand again. The deputy pointed at the screen with a horrified face. Ronan's face changed drastically. Return to the jump point immediately. Not good. One of the warships is not responding. It seems that the operating system is paralyzed, said the deputy. Ronan clenched the hammer. Forget it. Let's go. Neither of them mentioned the previous conversation. The fleet was close to the jump point, and it took less than half a minute to fly back, and then disappeared. This sudden war ended after less than 10 minutes. Chapter 332 Sister, you think too much. Second update. Seeing the fleet of the accusation corps disappear, Lao Wang finally put down his hand and wiped his sweat. Are you scared now? Next time when there is blood, summon the main guns of the Burning Legion's fell warships to attack. Maybe it will be stronger than this time. This time it was quite dangerous. If the other party was not scared, he could only take Sky back to Earth. Anyway, with Odin and the Ancient One, the Kree would definitely not dare to attack the Earth in a large scale. They would seek death. In 1995, even if Captain Marvel did not take action, the fleet of the Accusation Corps would have to pay the price. Making trouble in Odin's back garden and the territory of the Ancient One, not giving face to the two big guys. There is not a drop of blood of Azeroth left. We have to find a way to replenish it. Lao Wang sighed and snorted. He still likes the power of Dalaran very much, and of course he likes Lucky Ronin, but he likes the fell cannon of the Burning Legion more. Thicker, longer, more majestic and majestic, in line with the style of man. Having obtained the Titan technology of Sargeras, the magic technology of Argus, the technology of many demons such as Morgan the Dreadlord, and even the technology of countless planets in the process of sweeping across the universe, the Burning Legion's technology level is not inferior to that of the Naru, and is second only to the Pantheon. It can beat the goblins and dwarves in 108 ways. Those evil warships that are not very good looking not only have the ability to jump in space, but also have extremely powerful firepower. Even the landing posture is exactly the same as the Chitta spaceship under Thanos, directly inserted into the ground like a spear, and it itself is not damaged at all. Such a warship should not be worse than the Kree's warship. They are all spoils of war. Lao Wang looked around and was satisfied. Just now, he heard Dun Huang's reminder that Sky had used his supernatural power to destroy the main control system of the Starry Sky warship, paralyzing the warship, and was clearing out the rebels inside. That was a complete Kree warship, not an antique like the Kunlun spaceship that had nothing left. In addition, the database of the spacecraft seems to be complete, and the weapon system and energy system are also complete. What does this mean? As long as it is studied thoroughly and repaired, it can still be used. And as long as the technology of the Kree is obtained, the technological level of the entire Earth can be greatly improved. Fitz is happy now. Lao Wang laughed. Further away is the flagship that was almost completely destroyed. And in this space, there are also a large number of damaged Kree starfighters and the wreckage of missiles after the explosion. Even a palm-sized iron piece is a priceless treasure for scientists like Fitz. I don't know how much he can study. This battle is worth it. Lao Wang laughed foolishly and flew towards Sky. Seizing the spoils is a technical job. It was not until 3 days later that Lao Wang and Sky cleared all the resistance forces on the two battleships. Those who died, and those who surrendered, and then all the spoils were gathered together and surrounded by the only intact star battleship. The Quinjet returned to Earth and brought Fitz and a large number of scientists who had signed hundreds of confidentiality agreements. They were isolated and studied here. It was safe and quiet, and they couldn't even run away. With the help of Sky, Dun Huang began to crack the operating system of the starship. It was believed that it would not take long to break through the firewall, obtain all the data, and complete the control of the starship. At that time, this starship would become the first space base of the Schengen Bureau. For this war, the blood of Azeroth consumed by Lao Wang was worth almost enough to buy the entire Stark Industries. But just a scrapped flagship of the Accusation Corps, the value is unknown. How many Stark Industries are equivalent? There is no comparison at all. After explaining everything, Lao Wang took Sky on the Quinjet and came to Attilan. Director Wang, on behalf of everyone in Attilan, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to you. May our friendship last forever. Medusa's voice rang out in the King's Hall. Maximus stood not far away and curled his lips, but finally said nothing. Karnak sighed and was about to say something, but was glared at by Black Bolt and quickly shut up. Although Gorgon was very reluctant, he had to admit that he was his benefactor. He snorted and stopped talking. Attilan's little princess Crystal has been staring at the old king with curiosity and admiration. Even though Sky glared at her several times in displeasure, she still refused to give in. This is my home. Who is afraid of whom? As I said before, humans and inhumans are originally one family. The Earth and the Moon help each other. When facing the advanced civilizations in the universe, we must unite. The old king sighed. After all, we are still too weak. If it were in the past, these arrogant inhumans would definitely sneer in public. Even the fleet of the Accusation Group that they caught a glimpse of 15 years ago, because they attacked the Earth instead of the Moon, they didn't feel much, and they didn't really realize how powerful the advanced civilization was. Now they know that in front of the advanced civilization, a mere Attilan is still too fragile and too small. The enemy only needs a tiny fleet, or even a starship carrying a large number of missiles, to destroy the entire Attilan, and the Kree Empire doesn't know how many such starships there are. Attilan has always looked down on the earth with a high profile, thinking that humans are the representatives of ignorance. But in fact, there is no difference between inhumans and humans. Both are frogs in the well. Inhumans are not as good as humans. When human civilization is developing rapidly, inhumans are still standing still. I think it's time to discuss the issue of the great integration of inhuman races. The old king smiled and said, of course, it also includes the alliance relationship between the earth and the moon, or the alliance relationship between humans and inhumans. As soon as these words came out, Black Bolt looked around. Except for the royal family and the Gene Council, everyone else hurriedly said goodbye and was not qualified to stay here. Director Wang, Medusa and Black Bolt looked at each other and asked, excuse me for asking, can you represent the entire human race, or? I'm the director of the Extraterrestrial Threat Strategic Defense Offense and Multidimensional Strategic Cooperation Bureau. I can represent the entire human race in matters related to aliens. Old Wang smiled and said, of course you have been monitoring humans, and you are also very clear about human problems. It is very difficult to get so many countries to reach a consensus. Even if it can be done, it may take months or even years. We don't have that time. So I hope Attilan can establish a strategic cooperative relationship with the Bureau of Divine Council first. As for forming an alliance with the entire human group, he shook his head, smiling. Sister, you think too much. Chapter 333, The Alien Queen, Part 3. Medusa frowned slightly and understood. There are 7 billion humans, but there are only 100,000 inhumans in Attilan. The gap of 70,000 times is difficult to make up. The larger towns in the eastern part of China have more people than Attilan. In the eyes of the Earthlings, Attilan is just a town, at best a county. Black Bolt is a county magistrate, and she is the wife of a county magistrate. With this little territory and population, you still want to be on an equal footing with the entire human group. It's impossible. Even if we don't compare population and technology, the current inhumans don't seem to be as good as the Earth. Even if they are ahead in one or two fields, they are far behind in the whole technology. In fact, they may not even be as good as Stark Industries. If they form an alliance with the Schengen Bureau, maybe in the eyes of the human high level, Attilan has been given a lot of face. After all, the highest head of such a United Nations agency is much more powerful than the county magistrate of China. In terms of strength, Director Wang can destroy all of Attilan. In terms of numbers, a large multinational company on Earth has 100,000 or 200,000 employees. The total number of employees of SHIELD is more than 100,000. Even the SHIELD, which was established not long ago, has more than 10,000 employees so far. They have seized 2 starships of the Accusation Group. The operators and combatants of any starship are at least 1,000, or even several thousand or tens of thousands. The earliest Attilan was actually a Kree spaceship. She knew this very well. It won't be long before the SHIELD will surpass Attilan in population. No matter from which aspect, the alliance between Attilan and the SHIELD is actually climbing up. What about the Inhumans? Medusa's red hair fluttered. Her eyes were scorching. How does Director Wang plan to deal with the relationship between Attilan and the afterlife, and the relationship between the moon Inhumans and the earth Inhumans? I think you should know our requirements, even if I don't say it. Attilan cannot be inferior to the afterlife. Black Bolt must be the king of the Inhumans. This cannot be changed. Otherwise, no matter how powerful the Earth is, no matter how aggressive Director Wang is, there is no room for discussion on this matter. Old Wang shook his head and laughed. This is really interesting. A king of a mere 100,000 people, would he, the leader of an international super-organization, care? Don't worry, Black Bolt will always be the Lord of Attilan and the king of the Inhumans on the moon, and this will not change. He emphasized the word moon, and Medusa quickly squeezed Black Bolt's hand. Black Bolt gently rubbed it, then shook his head slightly, and then nodded. Medusa understood. Director Wang's meaning was very clear. Black Bolt was the king of the Inhumans on the moon, not the king of the Inhumans on Earth. The integration of Inhumans does not mean the integration of power. There are so many countries in the human world, and it is no problem for Inhumans to have different leaders. And if nothing unexpected happens, the leader of the Inhumans on Earth is Miss Johnson next to Director Wang. In Director Wang's eyes, Attilan and the Afterlife are equal in status, and they are both partners of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's all. Don't take yourself too seriously, and of course, don't take yourself too lightly. The degree of this needs to be weighed carefully. Medusa and Black Bolt communicated for more than 10 minutes, staring at each other. Old Wang was a little helpless. If it was eye contact, he might not be able to see anything, but you actually played telepathy. The so-called telepathy is nothing more than the way of using soul power and mental power. It's nothing special. As long as the spirit is strong enough, anyone can use it, such as the magician of Kamataj. Even in the entire single universe, Lao Wang's mental strength can be ranked in the forefront. Although limited by the body, his mental power can only be exerted to a small extent, but there are really not many stronger than him. Odin and Ancient One are of course one of them, and Thanos is also one of them. Loki is barely comparable to himself, and Thor is far behind. Although Black Bolt can also telepathize, he has a dark history of being controlled by the mind countless times in parallel universes. Strength, speed, physique, endurance, and even energy. He is very strong in all aspects, reaching the level of Earth God, and his biggest weakness is the spirit. Playing telepathy in front of me, Lao Wang. Is it funny? Lao Wang laughed. Looking at Black Bolt, who was discussing seriously, he was in a good mood. Thanos has the Black Bolt generals. Lao Wang thinks he can also create similarly awesome subordinates, such as the 5 Great Dharma Kings, Queen Shockwave, Firehead Demon King, Green Beast King, and Black Winged Bat King. There are already 4 first-line superheroes. As for Thor, although they have a good relationship, it is okay to be brothers, but not to be subordinates. Although Thor is not a true king, he has never been used to being someone else's subordinate, otherwise he can be a Thunder Dharma King. If you count it this way, the 5 Great Dharma Kings under my command seem to be more awesome than Thanos' Black Bolt generals. Interesting. Lao Wang touched his chin. Listening to the exchange between Black Bolt and Medusa with interest, Lao Wang seemed to smile. When they were a little tired of listening, the two finally finished. Director Wang, Miss Johnson, we can agree to all your requests, but there is one condition. Medusa said, we hope Miss Johnson can join us and become a member of the Inhuman royal family. Attilan actually doesn't pay much attention to bloodline, but what they value is genes. Whoever has good genes and awakened superpowers will have a high status. Maximus is the king's younger brother. Because he concealed his superpowers, he was treated as an ordinary person, so he had no status, and he couldn't even join the Gene Council. Although he was a member of the royal family, no one took him seriously. Genes are supreme. As long as the genes are good enough, they will be accepted by the royal family and become a member of the royal family. Medusa is the queen of Black Bolt, but Crystal is not. Just because she awakened the same level of power as Black Bolt, she joined the Gene Council and the royal family 3 days ago, and her status was only below the king and queen, becoming a true princess. Sky's superpowers are at the same level as Black Bolt and Crystal, so it is normal to give her the title of a frontier official, which can convince the public. What's more, everyone knows, the aliens on Earth only listen to Sky, and Sky has the support of the powerful Director Wang. How can you force yourself to rule others? The old king has no objection to Medusa's proposal. Medusa doesn't have a sense of security, so it's understandable that she wants to use a layer of family relationship as a double insurance. Black Bolt is still very strong and has great potential. As long as he is well developed, he will definitely be at the level of Hulk and Thor, and he is trustworthy. The old king looked at Sky, who thought about it and nodded. It's just an empty title. Just give Attilan a face. For the royal family and the Gene Council, if there are 2 royal families, it will weaken the authority of Black Bolt. But if there is only 1 royal family, but there are only 2 rulers, although it will also weaken the authority of Black Bolt, at least there is an extra layer of fig leaf. Sister, welcome to join. Medusa hurriedly stepped forward and shook Sky's hand, as enthusiastic as she could be. She took off the bracelet and handed it to Sky. This is Attilan's communication bracelet, which can directly communicate long distances between the Earth and the Moon, so that it will be more convenient for us to contact each other in the future. I can send a batch to the afterlife on behalf of Attilan. Sky smiled and did not refuse Medusa's kindness. After seizing the starship of the accusation group, they naturally obtained a large number of high-tech products of the Kree. For example, the individual equipment with much higher technological content than Iron Soldier can enable ordinary people to have the strength and speed comparable to Captain America, survive in space, and emit powerful arc pulse cannons like Iron Man. It is much lighter than Iron Man's suit. Moreover, it can change clothes with one click, change the surface color and even style, and disguise as any clothes on Earth. It is very convenient for women. Of course, there is also a communicator. The communicator of the Kree can communicate at the galaxy level. Even if it is separated by a distance of millions of light years, it can communicate instantly, which is many times stronger than the communication bracelet of Attilan. The one that the boiled egg holds in his arms as a treasure and does not allow anyone to touch is just a low quality product that Captain Marvel casually modified. It is not even as good as the communicator of the Star Wars team back then, let alone the new product of the accusation group 15 years later. People are also kind-hearted. Skye decided to wear it for a few days and take it off when leaving Attilan and put it in the bottom of the box. After the recognition of relatives, the next thing will be easy. Since we are a family, there is no need for so many people to get together and talk slowly behind closed doors. Lao Wang, Skye, Black Bolt, and Medusa, who served as Black Bolt's translator and assistant, got together to discuss for 3 days and 3 nights, signed a lot of documents, and finally sorted out the relationship and settled the treaty. Simply put, the base camp of mankind is the Earth, and the base camp of the aliens is the Moon. The Earth and the aliens respect each other, help each other, do not interfere in each other's internal affairs, respect territorial and sovereign integrity, equality, mutual benefit, and peaceful coexistence. If humans want to visit the Moon, they must obtain Attilan's consent and visa. If the aliens on the Moon want to travel to the Earth, they must also notify in advance. As a strategic partner of Attilan, the Schengen Bureau has the power to send troops to garrison and exploit resources on the Moon, and at the same time, it must help Attilan deal with possible foreign invaders. In addition, the Afterlife and Attilan can travel visa-free. Skye is the alien queen of the Earth, and Black Bolt is the alien king of the Moon. The two have the same status, and are both rulers of the aliens and members of the royal family. The Afterlife will provide help to Attilan, help rebuild and expand Attilan, provide manpower and materials, and Attilan will open up the quota for the Terrigen mutation ceremony to the Afterlife, depending on the help provided by the Afterlife. The Bureau of Divine Sticks and Attilan jointly set up an inhuman gene laboratory to conduct a deeper study of the inhuman genes, hoping to find a way to improve the genes and solve the defects. In general, share what we have and make progress together. 3 days later, Lao Wang returned to the Afterlife with Skye and Crystal. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 334, Finding a Good Apprentice for You. Part 1. Is this the Afterlife? It's so beautiful. Seeing the Chinese-style buildings in the Afterlife and the beautiful snow-capped mountain oasis scenery, the simple-minded Crystal was very happy. The most important thing is that this place is not like what her sister said, full of air pollution and bacteria and viruses. Instead, it is very clean. It is so clean that she stayed for 10 minutes without any physical discomfort or cold. This is amazing. It is simply Attilan on Earth. Attilan is too small and the Earth is too big. She has seen the scenery of a city countless times. Everything on the Earth is so new to her. She just wants to stay here and doesn't want to go back. Skye glanced at Crystal and her face was not very good. As a supplementary clause, the little princess of Attilan took the initiative to ask to follow Lao Wang. On the one hand, she wanted to learn from Lao Wang how to manipulate the 4 elements of earth, fire, water and wind, and on the other hand, she hoped that Lao Wang could help her strengthen her physique and improve her immunity to avoid being killed by the cold virus. Black Bolt and Medusa were very determined, and it was really hard for her and Lao Wang to refuse. But no matter what, the two must be separated. Sky secretly clenched her fists. She still has confidence in Lao Wang. She believes that Lao Wang is not a person who likes to pick wildflowers. The problem is that there are always women outside coming over. From Melinda and Black Widow at the beginning, to Master Chen and Hope later, none of them are easy to mess with. Fortunately, Lao Wang is as pure as jade and keeps himself clean. These are nothing. Melinda's relationship with Whiplash is gradually heating up. Agent Coulson seems to be interested in her. Besides, she is old, and her figure and appearance are just average. Lao Wang will definitely not like her. Black Widow has had relationships with countless men, and she can't have children. This is not okay. Besides, she is not the type that Lao Wang likes. Master Chen's physique is stronger than a cow. Let's not talk about it. Hope is not easy to deal with. Sitting on Prime Technology's hundreds of billions of assets. Although she is older than Lao Wang, she is only a few years older. She is not very beautiful, but she has a lot of temperament. She is also a scientist. Lao Wang has always looked at scientists differently. She also knows martial arts. In terms of fighting skills, it seems that she is better than himself. The key is that she is still single. But she has been studying quantum technology recently and has no time to flirt with Lao Wang, so she can be ignored. Why is there another crystal now? She is younger than me, and her superpowers are at the same level as mine. She is a serious little princess and has a brother-in-law who is very good at fighting. She has the ability to control earth, fire, water and wine similar to Lao Wang. She loves to laugh, looks weak, is lovable, and has a simple mind. This kind of girl is the most attractive. Too threatening. If she and Lao Wang get along day and night, discussing element and studying martial arts, even if there is no love, they will develop feelings. Is that okay? Thinking of this, Sky moved his fingers slightly, and the soft flesh on Lao Wang's waist immediately trembled. A real warrior would not dare to face the anger of Shockwave, which would be a bleak life. Lao Wang quickly guessed Sky's thoughts. It's unfair. Lao Wang cried out in his heart. I don't know how many young and beautiful girls like Crystal I have seen. I'm not that hungry. I really just want to help her, so that I can have more powerful helpers in the future, such as the Elemental King or something, who is no worse than Black Bolt. What are you thinking about for no reason? Of course, it's useless to say this. It's unreasonable to reason with a woman. Lao Wang had to take the initiative to say, Sister Crystal, I will help you find a master. No. Crystal looked at Lao Wang, with moist mist in her eyes. You are my master. You agreed in front of my sister and brother-in-law. We just left Attilan, and you want to drive me away. You don't want me anymore? I really didn't agree. Feeling the frequency of fluctuations getting faster and faster, Lao Wang said helplessly, I only promised to help you learn to manipulate element and enhance your physique. I didn't agree to be your master, and the master I find for you must be stronger than me. Sky glanced sideways. It seemed that there were not many people in the world who were stronger than Lao Wang. Crystal didn't have so many thoughts. She just asked, Sister said you are stronger than brother-in-law. How could there be someone stronger than you? Of course there are, and there are many. Lao Wang smiled and said, the one I'm going to find for you is the most amazing wizard in the entire universe. In terms of manipulating element, monks are definitely not as good as wizards, let alone her. She, Sky and Crystal were both stunned. Sky immediately thought of who it was, and Crystal was a little surprised, and a woman. She is probably one of the most amazing women in the entire universe. Lao Wang sighed. Is that so? Crystal's eyes lit up. She thought secretly, Sister said that the status of aliens is determined by genes and abilities. Sky and I have the same level of genes, but I awakened my superpowers later than her, and can't beat her. If I have a powerful master, then maybe I can catch up with her, or even surpass her. In this case, wouldn't my status be higher? Okay, I promise you. Crystal nodded reluctantly. I stayed in the afterlife for 2 days, told the general situation, and then communicated with Jirang and the elders. Both Jirang and the Council of Elders were very satisfied with the alliance treaty signed by Lao Wang and Sky. There are only a few hundred people in the afterlife now, and the number of truly awakened aliens is less than 1/10. which is far less than Attilan, but they have obtained equal status with Attilan, which is obviously the credit of Director Wang. Taking this opportunity, Jia Rang formally proposed to resign from the position of leader, and everyone voted to elect the next one, while she continued to serve as a guide for the newcomers, helping the newly mutated aliens to adapt to their abilities, which is her old job. Of course, in fact, everyone knows very well, Jia Rang is about to give birth, and Sky is going to have a younger brother. In this case, the maternal radiance radiates, and nothing is more important than a son. Only aliens with awakened abilities have the right to vote. As for who to vote for, there is no suspense at all. Sky passed unanimously and became the new leader of the afterlife, or according to Attilan, the Lord and Queen of the afterlife. The population of the afterlife is still too small. Now they have formed an alliance with Attilan and exchanged what they have. With the Terrigen crystal provided by Attilan, many people in the afterlife can participate in the Terrigen mutation ceremony. In addition, Sky is also organizing people to find the inhumans among humans, and the strength of the afterlife will gradually grow. As the allies become stronger, the Schengen Bureau will naturally become stronger. Due to time, politics, funds and other factors, the 5 major bases originally planned by the Schengen Bureau are still only 2, and it is unknown how long it will take to increase. 2 days later, Lao Wang came to Kamataj with the crystal. "Is she the student you found for me?" Ancient One asked. Almost a year ago, Lao Wang helped Kamataj develop a virtual training platform for free, with only one condition: ask her to help teach someone a spell. Could it be the person in front of him? Ancient One looked carefully and found that it was an inhuman. This person is born with the ability to manipulate element. Every cell in the body can automatically absorb element from the outside world and then store them, and can also resonate with the element. As long as she wants, she can turn element into any shape, a person or a car, or even merge different element into one. Of course, this requires strong mental strength and long-term training. This is a very promising ability, and he is indeed a natural elemental mage. If he is taught by a master, I believe it won't take long for him to surpass all the secret masters of Kamataj. She is an accident. Lao Wang said honestly. Actually, the person I want you to teach is another person. Is it also a girl? Guyi's eyes were burning, and the eye of Agamotto on his chest emitted an emerald light, and the power of time and space continued to surge in her body. Any personal thing related to Director Wang is lingering in the mist of time and space, and it is difficult to see through. But through some clues, a lot of things can still be inferred. After a few seconds, Guyi nodded, his face a little strange. It turned out to be her. In terms of ability and potential alone, the girl seems to be stronger than the heir he chose. Unfortunately, her personality is not suitable for being the supreme mage, and her power is not suitable for holding the Eye of Agamotto. Stay here, I'll let Tina teach her the basics. Ancient One said, when she has a certain understanding of magic, I will teach her myself. Tina is one of the best masters of mysticism in Kamataj, and she is also a woman with a gentle personality, which is very suitable for teaching girls. Thank you very much, Supreme Sorcerer. The old king breathed a sigh of relief. Only by sending away the crystal can the family be harmonious. Otherwise, the crystal will definitely not be able to defeat Sky, and will destroy the close relationship between the earth and the moon, the old king convinced himself. After placing the crystal, the old king returned to the Azeroth laboratory. Chapter 335 Super Soldier Serum, Part 2. The diligence of the people of the motherland is witnessed by the whole world. Almost on the same day, the construction of Azeroth Tower and Stark Tower was completed. 2 multinational companies ranked in the top 10 in the world have headquarters that are luxurious and majestic enough. And the energy supply method is exactly the same. Both use nuclear fusion reactors. The difference is that the fusion reactor used in Azeroth Tower is based on the whipcord palladium arc reactor. After being improved by Fitz, it is combined with some technologies of Kundland spacecraft and Accusation Group Starship. It is far ahead in the comprehensive technology level, and has achieved heavy element fusion. The nuclear fusion reactor of Stark Tower relies on the cosmic cube isotopes and vibranium shells discovered by Howard, which is a leading raw material. The output power per unit time of the two is similar. There is a big difference in cost. After all, Azeroth uses very common heavy element and ordinary metals, while Stark Industries uses artificially synthesized cosmic cube isotopes and vibranium shells. But the external selling price is almost the same. There is no need to fight a price war, and we can make money together. With the transformation of Stark Industries and the vigorous development of clean energy, and of course the increasing popularity of Iron Man, the market value of Stark Industries has continued to increase, exceeding $500 billion, ranking 5th in the world. Because he holds most of the company's shares, Tony Stark himself has become the world's richest man. Black Panther does not count. After all, if even Black Panther is counted, how about the leaders of more than 200 regimes in the world? Azeroth Group is a rising star, and no matter how fast it develops, it will not be able to surpass Stark Industries in a short period of time. However, thanks to the Iron Soldiers and virtual technology, the total assets have increased by unknown times. Although it is not a listed company, according to the evaluation of authoritative institutions, the real assets are not far from Stark Industries, ranking among the top 10 in the world. As the founder and largest shareholder, Lao Wang's assets are second only to Tony Stark, and he ranks second on the Forbes rich list. Of course, this is not important. If the immortal dragon's dragon bone in the Heart of Azeroth is really sold, Lao Wang's assets will surpass Tony within a month. Not to mention that he has a large number of other treasures. Most of the money earned was used to subsidize the Schengen Bureau. Although the United Nations funding was increasing, it was not enough. Even SHIELD had to find a way on its own, and NASA had to open the International Space Station to the public. The Schengen Bureau, a newly established department with a lot of money, could not rely solely on funding. Lao Wang didn't feel bad, because money was meant to be spent. Otherwise, why would he make money? In addition to the Schengen Bureau, Lao Wang also took out a large sum of money to build kindergartens, elementary schools, junior high schools, and even universities in China. Talent is the foundation for the development of a country through science and technology. However, how can there be talent without education? It is meaningless for a person to be strong, because you will soon find that it is lonely at the top. It is only interesting to let the entire ethnic group develop together and enjoy the convenience brought by development. Time passed day by day. The new year soon arrived, and it was already 2011. On this day, Simmons found Lao Wang. "Boss, we succeeded. We succeeded." She clenched her fists and looked happy. The first phase of the Super Soldier project is completed. Since getting the Winter Soldier, Simmons has been conducting research on super soldiers. Unlike the Inhumans, the Super Soldier Serum does not change human genes. Humans are still human beings. It just amplifies human abilities and improves certain physical qualities of humans to the limit, or even beyond the limit. This is the evolution of humans. In essence, super soldiers are still human beings and represent the limit of human physical fitness. Because they have a complete gene chain from the beginning, the super soldiers will not have genetic defects such as low immunity and inability to speak. Of course, because of the lack of infinite possibilities brought by mutations, they will not have all kinds of strange abilities. This plan focuses on human beings themselves and is the evolution of all people. The status of the Earth in the Marvel Universe is very special. The potential of human beings is no worse than that of any other race. Whether it is the Eternal Clan represented by Thanos, or the mutants represented by Wolverine, or the Inhumans represented by Black Bolt, they are actually members of the human race. These races belong to the branches of human evolution history, and human beings themselves are the eternal mainstream. No changes are needed, only persistent evolution is needed, and they can naturally get ahead of all races, and reach the forefront of evolution, that even the Asgardians and the Kree must look up to. Now, after the unremitting efforts of Dr. Gemma Simmons, Dr. Bruce Banner, Dr. Betty Ross and others, as well as the full cooperation of Bucky the Winter Soldier, and the large number of magical creatures that Lao Wang exchanged from World of Warcraft, the Super Soldier project has finally made a breakthrough. In fact, it is only the first stage of the Super Soldier project. We have not restored Dr. Erkins's formula. He is a real genius. It is hard to imagine that in such a backward environment 70 years ago, he could actually research such a perfect formula. He is 100 years ahead of the whole world. Simmons was beaming with joy. Dry Verkins' formula is like a catalyst, which shortened the natural evolution of mankind by 1 million years. However, this way of evolution is the amplification of all the abilities of a person, which has both advantages and disadvantages. Therefore, Captain America was created, and the Red Skull was also created. Boss, do you understand what I mean? Lao Wang nodded. Dr. Erkins' formula is not active and selective, and focuses on evolution itself. Because there is no human interference, it is the most perfect and fits the human gene itself. However, humans themselves are not perfect. Super Soldier Serum will amplify a person's strengths and weaknesses, make the good better and the bad worse. If human civilization develops to a higher level, with enough resources and high enough quality, the Super Soldier Serum can indeed be popularized among the whole people, allowing the whole human race to evolve to a new level. If that time comes, the average physical fitness of human beings will surpass that of the Kree and reach the level of the Asgardian 7 billion super soldiers, even if placed in the entire universe, are considered a strong force and can be shown off. But not now. Once popularized among the whole people, countless super criminals will be born. Destruction is much easier than protection. The damage caused by a super criminal cannot be protected by 10 superheroes. If that happens, the fragile human society will inevitably be torn apart, and the fruits of human civilization for thousands of years will be completely destroyed in less than 1% of the time. So, even if Dr. Erkin's version of the Super Soldier Serum is really perfectly restored, it can only be used by a small number of people, and Captain America is the benchmark for screening. Today, when the quality of the whole people and the level of civilization are not high enough, it is a better choice to modify the Super Soldier Serum to a certain extent. Through the study of the Winter Soldier, we conducted an in-depth study of human genes, and conducted a series of matching studies with the effective ingredients of the immortal dragon's bones and all the animal and plant tissue specimens you brought over, and we have achieved some research results. Simmons said, after removing the key ingredients, the new Super Soldier Serum will not affect the user's personality and emotions, but will only be limited to the physical level. We have prepared more than 200 serums with different ingredients, and all we have left is the experiments. Chapter 336. Which one do you want? Part 3. Experiment. This is the most critical part. Super Soldier Serum is only related to humans. It is meaningless to use mice or monkeys for experiments. Only humans can be used. But the problem is, no matter how good the simulation effect is, as long as human experiments are not conducted, it is not considered a success, and there are unknown possibilities. For example, distortion, madness, and death. Formal human experiments generally recruit volunteers. As for those inhumane experiments, they are often conducted through channels unknown to the public, using death row prisoners for experiments, or even plundering test subjects. This world is not as beautiful as it seems. Every year, a large number of people go missing. Where these people have gone is easy to guess. Well, although it won't magnify a person's personality and emotions, it's still very dangerous if the death row inmate becomes stronger. Dr. Banner raised his hand to express his opinion. I was in the Gamma Weapons Laboratory of the Air Force Department before. The military's practice is to let soldiers do experiments. Because I'm more confident in the experiment itself, I took the initiative to apply to be a test subject myself. You all saw the result. I don't agree either. Winter Soldier Bucky, who was silent due to excessive blood drawing, suddenly said, well-trained soldiers are more suitable. The selection of soldiers must also be strictly reviewed. Those with criminal tendencies or violent tendencies cannot be used. Don't forget the 5 Winter Soldiers. Hydra created 5 Winter Soldiers by injecting Howard's restored Super Soldier Serum. Those people are the most terrifying members of Hydra's death squad, and each of them has violent tendencies. Although S.H.I.E.L.D. has captured them and has been brainwashing them, the effect seems not very good, so they have been locked up and dare not use them. Then recruit them. Lao Wang knocked on the table. Recruit from the Godstick Bureau. Fat water should not flow to outsiders, and good things should of course be used by our own family. This thing is very expensive. Currently, it can only be produced in the laboratory. The materials are precious and require equipment worth hundreds of millions of dollars. It also requires the use of immortal dragon bones or plant and animal tissue extracts from World of Warcraft, which limits the production. The cost of each tube of super soldier serum is at least millions of dollars. The higher the concentration or the more rare the materials, the more it costs. There is no way to popularize it for the time being. There is no need to popularize it. The duty of a soldier is to obey orders. For veterans who have seen the smoke of gunpowder and the ruthlessness of bullets on the battlefield, if there is a way to make them stronger, even if there are certain risks, it is worth a try. Bronski is the best example. When you adapt to the army and even to life on the battlefield, when you leave the battlefield, because of your age and declining physical function, you may be eager to return to the battlefield, and the super soldier serum gives you this opportunity. Not everyone puts life first. In the hearts of some people, some things are more important than life itself. Recruiting is not difficult, not to mention that the number of the first batch of recruits is relatively limited, only 10. For better comparison, the 10 volunteers were as different as possible. Some were thin, some were strong, some were over 70, some were less than 20, some were male, some were female, some were ordinary privates, and some were captains who had won numerous honors. One person surprised Lao Wang. Looking at the former US Marine Corps member with a straight back, strong body, and sharp face, Lao Wang was puzzled. Captain Custer, maybe you should wait a little longer. The super soldier serum has not been effectively tested on humans. If you die, it will be a huge loss. There are so many criminals in the world waiting for you to deal with them. Lao Wang tactfully advised, but Punisher Frank Custer said lightly, among all the people who signed up, I have the best physical fitness. I should be the first. Dr. Simmons told me that the stronger the physical fitness, the more likely it is to succeed. My success rate is higher than anyone else. It's just the result of theoretical calculation. Simmons hurriedly explained, without human experiments, there is no credibility. I can't guarantee that this is correct. Lao Wang turned his head to look at Daredevil Matt. For some reason, he always felt that something was wrong with the Punisher. Could it be that? Matt pressed his sunglasses and said helplessly, he was a little stimulated. Lao Wang looked at the Punisher with interest. At the moment Matt spoke, his heartbeat accelerated by 7 beats per second, and his blood flow rate increased by 13.4%. His facial muscles were a little hard, so he looked unnatural. He even glanced at Matt very secretly. There are not many criminals in New York during this period. We all follow Frank to learn the skills of using modern weapons, and Frank also competes with us. Matt ignored the Punisher's threat, and said with a smile, the result. Need I say the result? Although the Punisher represents the pinnacle of ordinary people, and is considered by Ludin to have the ability of a level 10 agent, it mainly refers to his strategy, his judgment, his fighting style and fighting skills, his use of almost all types of weapons, and other qualities. If he is given a full set of equipment, and thrown into a city with a complex environment, he is even capable of fighting with Black Widow and Hawkeye. It is hard to say who can survive. Uncle Punisher's strength cannot be ignored by anyone. In a certain parallel universe that collapsed, Uncle Far even slaughtered the entire Marvel universe by himself. Even in this universe, his strength is not weak. In the past year, almost all the criminals in New York have been wiped out, and he has made a great contribution. However, if it is a pure head-on battle, in the small training ground, the Punisher's advantage will completely disappear. Not only is he not as strong as before, but he also seems too helpless. Ghost Rider, Hulk and the like are not to be mentioned. They are not in the same league at all. It is normal that he can't beat Winter Soldier. He is better than him in all aspects, and he is also a weapon control. In terms of the mastery of various weapons, he is not inferior to him at all. It is also normal that he can't beat Daredevil and others. After all, they are now veritable masters, and have learned a lot of monk skills. The Punisher is far from being an opponent. But if he can't even beat high school student Gabe, isn't it too discouraging? Uncle Far has always been arrogant. How can he bear this grievance? Really not consider it again. Lao Wang is worried about the Punisher. I'll be the first. The Punisher said firmly. There's no way to talk about this. Although there is a certain degree of danger, other people's wishes must be respected. Lao Wang nodded. Then let's get started. The huge laboratory was full of people. There were all kinds of equipment, and everyone was mocking Lao Wang's poor academic performance. In fact, when Lao Wang was in school, his grades were always good, but in the eyes of the academic masters in this room, he was really an incomparable poor student. There was no need to compare with Simmons and Dr. Banner. Even Gabe, who is still a high school student, and Peter, who is a junior high school student, have made many small inventions. Lao Wang, who couldn't even understand the dwarf's hardened krypton gold goggles, was directly beaten. "Go up," Simmons said. The Punisher took off his clothes, walked onto the test bench with his upper body naked, and was firmly fixed by the stainless steel equipment. One device after another started. The cold storage was opened, and hundreds of tubes of super soldier serum were presented to everyone. "Frank, which super soldier serum do you want?" Chapter 337 Super Punisher, Part 1. Simmons introduced them one by one. This tube is the standard version of the super soldier serum. Because the core part, that affects emotions, has been removed, the effect is only half of Dr. Erkin's version. It is a basic version. All other serums add special ingredients on its basis. This tube is Super Soldier Serum Mongoose. The enhancement direction focuses on speed and reaction ability. In theory, the reaction speed can reach the level of Captain Rogers and Sergeant Barnes, and the strength is slightly worse. This tube is Super Soldier Serum Cheetah. The enhancement direction is similar to Mongoose, but because of the addition of Nightblade Leopard Serum, the effect is also better. The fastest speed can theoretically reach 100 km per hour, and the increase in strength will be greater. This tube is Super Soldier Serum Immortality. The enhancement direction focuses on metabolism, cell activity, self-healing ability and regeneration ability. Because the effective ingredients of the Immortal Dragon's Key are added after injection, not only are the improvements in all aspects stronger than the standard version, but also will have a long life of at least 200 years. This tube. Simmons had just finished talking about the 4 types when he heard the Punisher say in a deep voice, "I want the strongest one." Well, in the eyes of scientists, there is no strongest type. Each type has its own focus and weaknesses. Simmons was stunned for a few seconds, took out the Super Soldier Serum number 99, and said, "But if you have to say which one is the strongest, it may be this one, because it is the most expensive. One tube costs hundreds of millions of dollars." Everyone's eyes were focused on the tube of Super Soldier Serum. There was a lot of dust-like sediment at the bottom of the dark red blood. As Simmons shook his hand, it became turbid, and looked like an expired drink. Lao Wang raised his eyebrows. "This thing is so expensive, 100 times more expensive than the same amount of vibranium. Could it be double dragon serum, added with the effective ingredients of the Immortal Dragon's dragon bones and the Red Dragon's heart blood, and of course the Red Dragon's bone extract? It can enhance the physical fitness of the injector in all aspects, and will also have super self-healing ability, as well as a certain degree of regeneration ability. It has strong resistance to high temperature, cold, and strong acid. Even if you put your hand into the magma, it won't be a big problem. In addition, it will significantly increase the lifespan of the injector, at least 500 years. Simmons was beaming with joy, obviously very excited. "In fact, I don't recommend injecting it, because it's too overbearing. In the simulation test of the virtual platform, its success rate is the lowest, and it has extremely high requirements for physical fitness and mental will. In fact, I think Matt is more suitable. He has the protection of True Key, and he will not die even if he fails. Frank is a little worse." Before he finished speaking, he saw the Punisher snorted. "That's it." Lao Wang glanced at Simmons. "Why are you provoking him?" Simmons looked innocent. "Just telling the truth. It's not my fault that he is too weak." The Punisher was too determined, and no one could do anything about it. The experimental chamber was closed, and the Crimson Serum was divided into 6 parts, which were injected into the Punisher's body through 6 methods, including intramuscular injection, spinal injection, and surface penetration. This is obviously a relatively long process. The improvement of science and technology has changed the injection method and increased safety. Seeing the injection volume increase from 10% to 20%, although the Punisher's eyes were wide open and his veins were exposed, he could still bear it. Lao Wang ordered to continue the injection, and suddenly thought of a question. Simmons, does the super soldier serum have side effects? Yes. Simmons answered while paying close attention to the vital signs curve on the instrument. The standard version has no side effects, but other versions have some side effects more or less, because they add special ingredients that do not belong to this world. What are they? Lao Wang was very curious. The injection volume increased from 20% to 30%. Simmons said, we have done tens of thousands of simulations and found that the side effects are all kinds of strange. It is speculated that it should be related to special ingredients. For example, the super soldier serum cheater, the injector may prefer night rather than day, that is, night owls. Related to special ingredients? The Punisher was injected with super soldier serum double dragon, the active ingredients of which are the keel of the immortal dragon and the keel of the red dragon, and the blood of the heart. What are the characteristics of the immortal dragon? Lao Wang is not sure. Anyway, Xiao is the oldest salted fish in the world. There is no doubt about it. He eats and sleeps all day, and the Chinese dragon seems to be quite philanthropic, dares to mate with anything, and the 9 sons of the dragon are 9. As for the red dragon, Lao Wang thought of the red dragon queen in an instant. The poor female dragon who was regarded as RBQ as the most prominent representative of the red dragon clan. She has many spouses, and she can also transform into any race. I don't know if she has any strange feelings. No way. Lao Wang looked at the Punisher and was deeply worried about him. The injection volume continued to increase. The Punisher's skin began to turn red as a hot iron. His body temperature has risen to 360.380 degrees. Simmons said at a fast speed. The metabolic rate has increased by 6 times. The tissue structure in his body is being destroyed and then reorganized, which is equivalent to crushing every bone and every muscle, and then reassembling them. This pain is 10 times that of other super soldier serums. Super soldier serum can change a person's bone and muscle structure. The pain that needs to be experienced is naturally not something that ordinary people can endure, and it is even far more than a woman giving birth. In order not to interfere with this process, nothing else can be injected or taken, including analgesics. This is one of the reasons why it cannot be popularized. Most people simply cannot bear this kind of pain, and they will go crazy. The blood of the red dragon is too overbearing, causing the pain caused by this process to be 10 times stronger than other super soldier serums. This is terrifying. Special forces must undergo various pain tolerance training, and the Punisher is one of the best. It is not a big deal for him to do surgery without anesthesia. However, at this moment, even his face was full of pain. His teeth were about to be bitten. When the injection volume increased to 70%, an accident happened. His blood vessels began to burst, his skin was broken, and his whole body became a bloody mess. Quick, stop the injection. Dr. Banner shouted. Simmons hurriedly did so. Suddenly, the Punisher's voice came from the cabin. No. Keep injecting. The voice was broken and vague, with a granular touch. Obviously, his teeth were really broken, and even his tongue was bitten off. There was something wrong with the bones of his face, and it was completely twisted and deformed. But everyone could hear his determination, and his determination to continue even if he died. Simmons hurriedly looked at Lao Wang. Continue. Lao Wang said, his eyes fixed. All his energy was focused on the Punisher, sensing the shattering and reorganization of every part of his body. It was shattered very thoroughly, and the whole person was like a ball of rotten meat, 10 times worse than Bronski who was hit by the Hulk. Even his internal organs were almost rotten into a ball. But even so, he didn't die. An immortal vitality was supporting him. The life force represented by the blood of the red dragon continued to repair his body. Even in his heart, Lao Wang sensed the fire of the red dragon. With the help of the red dragon fire, even Bulva Fordragon, who was left with only bones, could continue to survive, let alone the Punisher. These red dragon fires came from an unknown red dragonling, and only contained a small part of its power. Naturally, they could not compete with the red dragon queen, but for the Punisher, it was enough. His firm will allowed him to survive the hellish torture. When the injection volume reached 90%, the whole body seemed to be reborn from the ashes, and his eyes were burning. This is the real pain. It is no longer painful, but itchy. The itching that is more terrible than pain is unbearable for the Punisher, and every second is torture. 100%. Simmons pressed the button, and the Punisher experienced the last madness. Then he regained his calm. Dr. Banner hurriedly shouted, "Hurry up and open all the fixators." "Okay, no need." Click. The stainless steel fixators were bent and broken, and the Punisher, who was reborn from the ashes, appeared in front of everyone. All the clothes were burned to dust by the high temperature, and the Punisher was naked, showing off his powerful body. Unlike Captain America's muscular body, the Punisher's muscles look stronger, more explosive, and more rigid. "How do you feel?" Lao Wang asked. "It can't be better." The Punisher glanced at Matt and said, "I need to fight." "You need a comprehensive examination now." Simmons was about to say something when he saw Lao Wang waving his hand. "Let's talk about this later. The experiment is suspended. Everyone follow me." Chapter 338 Punisher vs Daredevil, Part 2. Not far from the laboratory, there is a special training ground. At this moment, Lao Wang and others stood beside, while Punisher and Daredevil stood in the middle. There were no weapons. The two fought hand to hand with bare hands. "There are no rules," Lao Wang said lightly, "just don't die. It doesn't matter if you fight to death. You can't die, even if you want to with me here." Before he finished speaking, Punisher, who couldn't wait any longer, had already launched the attack. He bent his legs, then kicked hard, and rushed towards Daredevil. Bang! The two bodies staggered. Punisher stopped steadily, and Daredevil flew backwards, dragging more than 50 meters on the ground before stopping. What a great power! Winter Soldier's eyes shrank slightly, at least twice as much as mine. More than that. Lao Wang made a simple assessment in his mind and said, he doesn't have enough control over this body, and some of his power cannot be exerted. Dragons are the representatives of power. Red dragons, green dragons, blue dragons, black dragons, bronze dragons. The 5-colored dragons, the black dragon represents strength, and the red dragon is not bad either, and is qualified to fight the black dragon head on. The Punisher has obtained part of the red dragon's ability, and the strength enhancement is naturally better than the original super soldier serum. He has the magic power of the red dragon in his body, so every attack is not a pure physical attack, but also includes magic attacks, and has a certain degree of magic breaking ability. Of course, the biggest advantage of the red dragon is not strength, but super vitality. In other words, strength is not the Punisher's strong point. Endurance is. His body has a strong resistance to spells, and his skin is like a weakened version of dragon skin, which has a good resistance to any spell, and the essence of true ki is no different from magic. Both are energy attacks. Being repelled by the Punisher, Daredevil used true ki to protect him in time, and was not injured at all. This level of attack is not enough to defeat him. Condensing the true ki on the surface of the body, Daredevil also launched an attack. The two of them went back and forth, and the Punisher's qualities in all aspects were presented to Lao Wang. It seems that the effect of suppressing Matt is really good. Lao Wang nodded slightly. Super Soldier Serum Double Dragon has a much greater increase in strength than the original version. The Punisher's strength is at least 3 times that of the Winter Soldier, which exceeds the limit of the human body, and is probably stronger than ordinary Asgardians. It is roughly the same as the elite soldiers of Asgard, and slightly weaker than the 3 warriors. Of course, this is nothing. Endurance is the advantage. Although Captain America is known as never tired, because fighting requires a lot of physical energy and nutrients, he can't really keep fighting all the time. High intensity fighting can only last for 1 day at most. If it's more, the body can't bear it at all, and will slowly become thinner. In order to provide energy, even the muscles will dissolve. The Punisher is different. The transformation of the immortal dragon and the red dragon has given him stronger vitality. He can't keep fighting all the time, but the duration is definitely much longer than Captain America, and he is also more resistant than Captain America. Small caliber pistols have little effect on him, and they can't even penetrate the skin. High-powered automatic rifles have no effect if they are a little far away. Unless you aim at the throat or other vital points, the Punisher can almost ignore ordinary firearms. Of course, he still couldn't withstand high explosive grenades and artillery, which was far inferior to the Hulk. In terms of reaction ability, the dragon race is not good at reaction speed. The Punisher's nerve reaction speed is only about twice as fast as before, which is still a long way from Captain America and Winter Soldier. This is the biggest weakness. However, thanks to his strong physique, he can run much faster than Captain America and Winter Soldier. The Double Dragon Serum did not strengthen his brain. His IQ and combat literacy are still maintained at the original level. Of course, it is high enough. I don't know if he can match Captain America, but at least he will not be worse than Winter Soldier and Black Widow. In terms of comprehensive strength, definitely above Winter Soldier. Of course, if we consider the addition of a large number of high-tech secondary adamantium alloy mechanical arms, it is hard to say who will win. After fighting for a full hour, Daredevil raised his hands and surrendered because of exhaustion of true energy. It looks good. Lao Wang smiled and said while clapping, "Frank, you take a rest first, and then go for a comprehensive examination to see if there is anything uncomfortable." The Punisher nodded. I wanted to compete with the Winter Soldier, but I still had to listen to the director's words. After all, I couldn't beat him. As for you, don't be discouraged. Keep practicing. Your strength still has a lot of room for improvement. After comforting Daredevil, Lao Wang patted him on the shoulder. The mysteries of the human body are endless. It won't be long before you will be the next martial arts master. I'm optimistic about you. Daredevil smiled bitterly. I'm not a 3-year-old child. I don't need your comfort. He nodded and prepared to find a place to sit cross-legged and meditate to restore his true energy. Let's continue the experiment. Lao Wang said. Super Soldier Serum Double Dragon is too domineering. Although I yearn for that kind of powerful power, after seeing the pain of the Punisher, other test subjects, crossed out volunteers gave up and chose other versions. The results were not too bad, but not too good either. Among the 10 volunteers, only 7 had good results in the end. One of them couldn't bear the severe pain after injecting only 60% and had to stop. Another one died suddenly halfway through the injection. The last one was successfully injected, but he had a mental problem and was more aggressive than an angry werewolf. The version he injected was Super Soldier Serum Werg. Obviously, the wolves in World of Warcraft have crazy genes and are the most wild creatures. Even well-trained druids can't control the crazy wolf nature, let alone the veteran soldiers in World of Warcraft. Continue to improve it. Lao Wang said. The failure rate is too high, and human lives cannot be ignored. Of course, the experiment must continue. After all, only 10 types have been injected, and there are more than 90 types. After all the serums have been injected, the unsuitable ones will be removed, and the ones with relatively stable high success rate and good effect will be retained, and then further improved. Finally, mass production will be put into use. There are still too few people in the Bureau of God, and the average quality is much worse than that of S.H.I.E.L.D. Lao Wang rubbed his temples and calculated secretly. It is necessary to recruit more and better soldiers to support the framework of the Bureau of God, and then conduct strict and systematic training. Winter Soldier and Punisher are both good instructors. Of course, soldiers alone are not enough. I just hope Dr. Pym and Miss Hope can be more powerful. The real trump card of the Bureau of Divine Stupidity can only be completed with their help. Of course, these are all later stories. Now the most important thing is to continue the experiment. It is easy to recruit 10 volunteers, but to complete all the experiments, more than 100 volunteers are needed, and very high personal qualities are required. The Bureau of Divine Stupidity has too few personnel, and a large part of them are Inhumans and Kundlan people. They have the blood of Inhumans flowing in their bodies, and are not pure humans. Once injected with Super Soldier Serum, some unpredictable consequences may occur, just like Abomination. It's difficult, but there is a way. Just because we can't find it in the Bureau of Divine Stupidity doesn't mean we can't find it elsewhere. For example, Lao Wang smiled slightly and picked up his mobile phone to dial. Director Fury, I heard that the Avengers are short of people. Do you need my help? Chapter 339 Your country has been eliminated. Third update. S.H.I.E.L.D. Trident Headquarters, Director's Office. Looking at the fat guy in front of him who was on the same level as him, Luden was in a bad mood. So, you want to use my people for experiments? Don't say it so harshly. It's for the sake of the evolution of all mankind. In addition, the success rate is still quite high, and based on the principle of voluntariness, I think many people will want to try it. Lao Wang smiled and said, after the experiment is completed, you only need to cooperate with the inspection in the Azeroth laboratory for a month, and then you can leave. By then, SHIELD will have hundreds or even thousands of super soldiers, hundreds of Captain America or Winter soldiers, and they will be well trained and controlled. Aren't you happy? I must be responsible for the safety of the soldiers' lives. Luden put his hands behind his back, looking very cool. Okay then. Lao Wang turned and left. I think Britain, France, Russia, or China should be interested, or General Ross who happened to fail in the super soldier plan. I wonder if he is willing to accept my help, to help him regain his position in the military? Luden's heart skipped a beat. General Ross has already entered politics. He hasn't become the Secretary of State yet, but he's doing well. After all, he has a deep foundation in the military and has support from others. Although he left the military, his influence in the military has not decreased at all. If Director Wang really goes to General Ross, how could he disagree? As for other countries, they will definitely not refuse. The super soldier serum is not from the United States, nor from other countries, but from the whole world. Luden supported the desk with both hands, stared at Lao Wang, and said righteously, this kind of experiment should of course be sent by the United Nations and by SHIELD, which is affiliated with the United Nations Security Council. SHIELD will select suitable personnel to cooperate with the experiment. Just like you said, contribute to the evolution of all mankind. Lao Wang smiled slightly. This man is really thick-skinned. Of course he won't go to General Ross. Super soldiers cannot be mastered by any country. It belongs to the whole world and to me, Lao Wang. If any country gets the super soldier serum, it will cause hostility and competition from other countries, and it may even cause local wars or world wars. That's not okay. But if everyone who sees it has a share, every country will get it, and the problem will naturally change from war to the negotiation table. I hope the volunteers can report to the Azeroth laboratory as soon as possible. Lao Wang said with a smile. In 10 days at the latest, 100 volunteers will be in place. Luden promised, then hesitated for 2 seconds, and decided not to show his old face, with a smile on his face. Director Wang, once the experiment is successful, the super soldier serum. Don't worry, I won't hide it, and someone will talk to you, when the time comes. Lao Wang blinked. Don't forget to pay. With the full support of SHIELD, the experiment of super soldier serum went smoothly. Experimental failure is inevitable, and death is also inevitable. Lao Wang has never been a hesitant person. The number of people he killed in his previous life is probably more than the entire US military after World War II. It is impossible that there are no innocent people among them, not to mention that everything is voluntary. No one forced them. They are all adults, and any choice must take risks and bear the cost. Naturally, Lao Wang doesn't need to say more about this. The pension will be paid by SHIELD. When the super soldiers returned to SHIELD one by one, the smile on Luden's face couldn't even hide his black face, and the whole person seemed to be 10 years younger. At the same time, members of the Security Council and even important officials from various countries came to the door one after another. Lao Wang was too lazy to deal with these people one by one, and now he didn't ask them for anything, so he simply pulled them all into a conference room and had a good talk. Everyone, first of all, there is one thing I must explain in advance. Lao Wang patted the table, asking everyone to shut up, and then said, after many tests, most of the super soldier serums with poor effects and too many side effects were eliminated, and there are only 49 types left. And because of the raw materials, the production of these 49 super soldier serums is limited, and may not be as much as you think. Raw materials? The Russian members of the Security Council immediately loudly stated, what raw materials does Director Wang need? As long as they are on Earth, Russia will definitely find them, and provide them free of charge. Don't worry, Mr. Helmslav, the congressman. In addition, the person standing here is not the director of the Schengen Bureau, but the chairman and president of the Azeroth Group. There is something wrong with your address. Lao Wang laughed and said, unfortunately, the most important raw materials are not from the Earth. Some come from Kunlun, the moon, some from Asgard, other countries in the 9 realms, and some from other planets. I thank everyone for their kindness, but you really can't help me in this regard. Haha. Everyone's face was full of disbelief. You Director Wang, Chairman Wang said that it is in other dimensions and planets, so it is there? Why don't you say that it is not in this universe, but in other universes? Chairman Wang, when you said that there is not enough material, is it really not enough? Why don't you just say that there is no material? The Chinese congressman smiled slightly. It's just hunger marketing, which is what our country's businessmen are best at. Chairman Wang, you are worthy of being a Chinese. You even understand this. How much is the production? Helms Lav asked. This is the list of the first batch. As soon as Lao Wang finished speaking, the list of 49 types of super soldier serum appeared in front of everyone. Seeing that none of the numbers on it exceeded 100, and some were even in single digits, Helms Lav couldn't help asking, is that all? There are only 2,000 tubes of 49 types in total. What can they do? There are nearly 200 countries in the United Nations. On average, each country has only about 10 tubes, and can only create a dozen super soldier serums. Isn't this too little? This is the first batch. We have established strategic partnerships with some extra-dimensional and extraterrestrial civilizations. There will be a steady supply of raw materials in the future, but it will take time, and there won't be too much each time. Lao Wang smiled and said, some may even be out of stock, such as the super soldier serum immortality. The representative of a small country immediately said, I heard that the raw material of immortality is the dragon bone of the Kunlun immortal dragon, and there is another immortal dragon in this world, and it will continue to be reborn. He only said half of the words, but the meaning behind it was already very clear. Since there are dragons in Kunlun, we can catch them, raise them and kill them, then we will have dragon bones, right? Can't they be reborn, and then we can continue to raise and kill them, just like raising chickens and fish? How great is that? I'm sorry, sir. Kunlun is an important partner of the Azeroth Group and the Schengen Bureau, and the immortal dragon is the totem of Kunlun. We will never make any adaptations that harm the interests of Kunlun, let alone disrespect the immortal dragon. Lao Wang said lightly, although I still don't know which country you are from. What I want to say is that your country has been removed from the customer list, and you can leave. Chapter 340, a new chapter in human evolution, part 1. Only. The man was about to speak. Suddenly, his mouth was sealed by a stream of true energy. The door of the conference room opened, and he flew out backwards, and the door closed. I'm sorry, I made a little joke. Lao Wang clapped his hands, just like chasing away a mosquito. This scene shocked many people. The British female MP smiled slightly, wondering which small country's representative this was. How did he get to the negotiation table with such an IQ? Didn't he know that Chairman Wang was Kunlun's immortal Iron Fist? In front of him, he actually proposed to attack the immortal dragon, looking for death. A gleam of light flashed in the eyes of the Chinese MP, smiling but not smiling. It is impossible to be such a fool, to be a representative of a country. So how much benefit did you give to that representative, or even that country, in private, so that he was willing to be a big rooster crowing in broad daylight, so that you can kill the chicken to scare the monkey? Some people thought of this, and some people didn't. But one thing they knew very well, Chairman Wang was establishing his authority and telling everyone, don't mess around. He is not only Chairman Wang of the Azeroth Group, but also Director Wang of the Divine Stick Bureau. He is not only the second richest man in the world with a net worth of more than 100 billion US dollars, but also an important member of the United Nations Security Council with great power. The most important thing is that he is the most powerful superhero on Earth. The number one superhero who may not be killed by a nuclear explosion. He is backed by many forces such as Kamataj, Kunlun, Afterlife, Atalan, etc. His power has actually surpassed the leaders of most countries in the world. The leaders of small countries want to see him, but they have to see his mood. For such a person, you can't just respect him superficially. It's best not to have any unruly little actions. This is his territory. Here, you have to follow his rules. Chairman Wang. Seeing a silence at the scene, the British female MP decided to break the atmosphere. How are you going to sell the super soldier serum? This is a key point, and everyone pricked up their ears. Lao Wang smiled slightly. The super soldier serum does not belong to me, the Azeroth group, or any country, but to all mankind. Everyone knows the situation in the world now. Even aliens have invaded, and the situation is very bad. Everyone nodded. If it weren't for this, everyone wouldn't be so concerned about the super soldier serum. After seeing the super strong physique of Asgardians and frost giants, and comparing them with weak humans, people really realized how weak humans are. So recently, the Azeroth Iron Soldier has been selling very well. So the defense budgets of all countries have at least doubled. So when they heard that the super soldier serum could enhance the physique of humans to the level of Asgardians and frost giants, every country was tempted and wanted to get as much as possible. Only in this way, when facing the very likely alien invasion, there will be a better chance of winning. The Bureau of Super Soldier and SHIELD are subordinate agencies of the United Nations Security Council. One is responsible for active offense, and the other is responsible for passive defense. Lao Wang glanced at the stewed egg sitting next to him. So, 40% of all super soldier serums are sold to the Bureau of Super Soldier and 10% are sold to SHIELD. This has been signed with the 5 members of the Security Council and Director Fury of SHIELD, and it will continue to be effective. In addition, Chairman Wang, you have also signed an agreement with Director Wang, right? Everyone nodded silently. They have reasons, and there is no way to stop them, right? As a result, half of the super soldier serum was gone, and only 1,000 tubes were left from the first batch. How to divide this little? The super soldier serum was developed by all members of the Azeroth laboratory with painstaking efforts and hundreds of billions of dollars. It cannot be provided for free. In order to ensure sufficient funds for subsequent research, the super soldier serum cannot be sold at a low price, so Lao Wang looked around and said, we decided to use an auction. Auction? Everyone looked at each other, and their hearts skipped a beat. Damn auction. Damn Chairman Wang. Once the auction process begins, won't everyone rush to bid? You are so rich, why are you still asking for money? The faces of the representatives of small countries suddenly became ugly. It's obvious that the price of these super soldier serums cannot be low. People buy them back not only for injection, but also for scientific research, hoping to develop a formula. Even if the original formula cannot be developed, and only a low-end version with poor effect can be made, the value is immeasurable. So, the price may not be that high in future auctions, but the price will definitely break through the sky in the first auction. A tube of super soldier serum sold for tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars is nothing. It is definitely higher. Especially the most effective ones, such as super soldier serum immortality, can be sold for $1 billion. And some of them have a national GDP of less than $1 billion. How can they buy it? The American representative smiled slightly. This is the best. As the world's largest economy, the least afraid of is bidding. Let's auction it. Maybe the United States can get half of the super soldier serum. He coughed and asked, when will the auction start? It will take a few days to produce the first batch, and I think everyone will need to hold a meeting to discuss after returning. I will give everyone the data of all the serums for reference. Lao Wang said. As for the time of the auction, it will be set in a week. The meeting ended, and the representatives left one after another. Thank you on behalf of the motherland, Chairman Wang. The Chinese congressman stayed until the end, with a smile on his face. Just an hour before the meeting, he was secretly received by Chairman Wang, and signed a contract. The Chinese country will participate in the auction as usual, but in addition, it will also purchase 1,000 tubes of the standard version of super soldier serum at a lower price. It's just business. China is not unwilling to pay, Lao Wang said with a smile. The Chinese congressman smiled slightly. That's what he said, but if these 1,000 tubes of super soldier serum are also auctioned, the money earned will be far more than that. Chairman Wang is in the United States, but his heart is in China. This makes him happy and admired. Unlike some companies, which use the banner of patriotism to actually do things that harm the interests of the motherland and the people, the price of their products abroad is lower than that in China, and the configuration is higher than that in China. They are really shameless. They are definitely American conscientious companies. Compared with those people, Chairman Wang is simply a role model for the people of the whole country. There is one thing I want to remind you. Lao Wang said seriously, don't waste manpower and material resources to research super soldier serum. Even if you study it thoroughly, it's useless. You can't get the most important raw materials at all. I didn't lie to you at the meeting just now. Many raw materials are not on Earth. The Chinese congressman was slightly stunned and then smiled bitterly. He will bring this up, but it's hard to say what the higher-ups will think. There is a high probability that the research on super soldier serum will still be carried out, and the budget will not be too low. No matter how much Wang Dong supports China, he is not a Chinese. Even if he is a Chinese, it is useless, because he is not a member of China's leadership. This is human nature. Watching the Chinese congressman leave, Lao Wang shook his head gently. He has said everything he should say. As for how others do it, it is their business. He can't control it, and he doesn't want to control it. The first stage of the super soldier serum is completed, and the evolution of all mankind has begun to get on the right track. But it is far from enough. The production of super soldier serum is indeed limited by raw materials, but this limitation is not the biggest. Except for the immortal dragon bone, other materials can be exchanged from World of Warcraft, as long as you are willing to pay enough. The physical fitness and mental will of the whole people are the biggest constraints. There are 7 billion people in the world who are qualified and capable, who can endure the extreme pain of injection, and who can guarantee that they will not become mentally ill after the injection. There are not even 100 million, maybe less than 10 million. And if we consider factors such as morality and quality, and exclude those with dark and twisted hearts and criminal tendencies, there are probably even fewer. What we should do now is to research super soldier serum with lower efficacy, but lower production cost, so as to gradually improve the physical fitness of the whole people. Maybe one day, super soldier serum will be available to all mankind at a very low price, just like vaccines. At that time, human evolution will open a new chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 341 Super Soldier Unit, Part 2. The mass release of the Super Soldier Serum has caused a sensation around the world. Of course, the public is completely unaware of this, and countries around the world have joined forces to block the news, otherwise it will definitely cause chaos. It is not the lack of it that is worrying, but the inequality. So far, although there have always been legends of superheroes, and more superheroes are known to people, each one is not replicable. Hulk, Ghost Rider, Iron Man, Captain America. For ordinary people, although these superheroes are enviable and even jealous, they only stay at this level. After all, they are too far away from them, so far that they can't touch them at all, and they won't leave themselves hope. However, if they knew that humans now have a way to mass produce Captain America, they will naturally regain hope and continue to fantasize in their hearts, fantasizing about becoming a new superhero. Then they will know that, although superheroes can be mass produced, there is a quota limit. At that time, some people will definitely think, why is it others who are chosen, not me? Pure saints do not exist. Everyone has more or less darkness in their hearts, and negative emotions are inevitable. The super soldier serum is like a catalyst that can amplify the negative emotions of many people. Before it is truly mass produced, it can only be kept secret. There is no impenetrable wall in the world, and absolute confidentiality does not exist. There will be news leaks, but only a few people know the ultimate. Some people will try to get the super soldier serum, but it doesn't matter. More than 20 Azerothian soldiers surround the entire Azeroth laboratory. The security system here is even stronger than the Trident headquarters of S.H.I.E.L.D. In comparison, it is easier to attack the Pentagon. A week later, the first batch of 2,000 tubes of super soldier serum was produced. 800 of them were delivered to Antarctica by Lao Wang himself. In Lao Wang's plan, S.H.I.E.L.D. has a total of 5 major bases on Earth, one of which is the Antarctic base. Although due to various factors such as time, funds, and manpower, only the Afterlife base and Kunlun base have been built, but the other 3 bases are not nothing. The destroyer seized from Hydra has been wandering in the center of the Pacific Ocean and is in charge of Sitwell and Garrett after brainwashing. A small base was also built on the eternal ice of Antarctica, with Winter Soldier as the commander and Punisher as the deputy commander, and a Quinjet and 10 Azerothian soldiers were dispatched. The main force of the Afterlife base is Inhumans, the main force of the Kundlan base is Kundlan people, and the main force of the Antarctic base is Super Soldiers. A complete set of experimental equipment was sent to the Antarctic base through the portal. Every volunteer will undergo a comprehensive psychological assessment and physical fitness test, and then be sent to the Antarctic base to participate in the experiment. After the experiment is successful, they will receive training from Winter Soldier and Punisher to form the world's largest, most numerous and most powerful super soldier force. In future wars, this force is the real main force. The 200 tubes promised to S.H.I.E.L.D. were also personally delivered by Lao Wang to S.H.I.E.L.D.'s secret base somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. Anyway, for Lao Wang, all S.H.I.E.L.D. bases are not secrets. Luden had already selected the first batch of super soldiers. Half of them were secret agents who were trained by him as instructors in combat skills, that is, those at the Firestone base. The others are also trustworthy secret agents, or important members who have been strictly selected, such as Black Widow, Hawkeye, Agent 13 and Agent 33, and Melinda May. These people are the elite among the elite. Once injected with super soldier serum, their comprehensive strength will be improved by several levels. According to the original standards, everyone is qualified to join the Avengers. This emergency combat force, which is used to select the world's top talents and to deal with alien invasions, will no longer be a squad, but a regular force, a relatively special regular force. Luden made a decision quickly. The establishment of Avengers is still retained, and only the most powerful superheroes are eligible to join. In addition, protectors are added. The original emergency combat force was actually called Protectors. Later, Luden saw the word Avengers on Captain Marvel's fighter and changed the name. Now, the original name has been mentioned again, and it has become a larger force, adhering to the purpose of SHIELD. To protect the Earth and protect mankind. The other 1000 tubes of super soldier serum were also sold out in one day through auction. The worst and cheapest ones were sold for $50 million, and the best ones were sold for $2 billion. The total assets of Azeroth Group soared overnight, surpassing Stark Industries and ranking 5th in the world, and Lao Wang's assets also surpassed Stark Industries, becoming the new world's richest man. Most of the 1000 tubes of super soldier serum were obtained by the world's top economies. It is worth mentioning that, based on personal considerations, Lao Wang excluded 2 countries across the sea from China's east. Although the economic levels of those 2 countries are not bad, one of them is even ranked in the top 10 in the world, but they are not eligible to participate in the auction. This is of course related to history, but more because Lao Wang dislikes the cultures of those 2 countries and 2 nations. One has small gifts, but no great righteousness, and the other wishes that the whole world belonged to them. Such culture and tradition really made Lao Wang look at them differently. On this day, the popularity of super soldier serum has not diminished, and Hope found Lao Wang. How do you feel, Miss Hope? Looking at the 2nd generation wasp with a fit body and a healthy atmosphere, Lao Wang was in a good mood. Miss Hope and Dr. Pym were both on the first list of people to be injected with the super soldier serum. Having taken the initiative to receive the most rigorous martial arts training since childhood, Hope's mental will is strong enough to withstand the pain of being injected with the super soldier serum. For the Wasp or Ant-Man, the armor is of course the core of the core, but the better the physical fitness of the wearer, the more the armor can be used, and not like a 2nd generation Ant-Man whose fate has been changed, who can't even support growing bigger. For men, the most important thing is to grow bigger. There is no need for Lao Wang to propose it. Hope took the initiative to ask for the injection, and the effect is very good. Even among all the super soldiers who participated in the injection, her combat effectiveness can be ranked at the forefront. Dr. Pym used to be a field agent of SHIELD, and is well trained. Her mental will is even stronger than Hope's. The only disadvantage is that she is too old. In addition, wearing the Ant-Man armor for a long time to grow bigger and smaller has caused endocrine disorders, system disorders, and a serious decline in physical fitness. Lao Wang specially selected the Super Soldier Serum Immortality for him, which can make people rejuvenated and usher in a second spring, and the body transformation is not too obvious, to ensure that he can continue to work for Azeroth Laboratory for 100 years with full spirit and only sleep 4 hours a day. It feels good. Director Wang. Hope stared at Lao Wang. His face was a little complicated, excited and nervous, and then there was a strong expectation. Feeling Hope's emotions, Lao Wang raised his eyebrows. Done. Hope nodded heavily. Chapter 342 Quantum Tunnel. Part 3. Quantum Mechanics Laboratory. Looking at the quantum tunnel in front of him, which cost more than $5 billion, Lao Wang rubbed his temples. Compared with the movie, the quantum tunnel in front of him is obviously much more shocking. $5 billion seems to be a lot, but it is actually just the cost of materials. If you consider Dr. Pyme's 20 years of unremitting efforts, 20 years of continuous investment, or research funds, and the value of scientific and technological achievements, this quantum channel, which is almost as big as a football field, is worth at least more than $20 billion. In order to ensure safety, all materials of the quantum tunnel are used as best as possible, including 100 kilograms of vibranium purchased from all over the world, various countries, and even from Wakanda through various channels, as the most important core material of the quantum tunnel. Ensure the stability of the entire system. The official price of 100 kilograms of vibranium alone is $1 billion, but in fact, with the channel fee and premium, it cost a full $3 billion. Vibranium is not the most expensive. Some special materials that can only be produced by the world's top laboratories are even dozens or hundreds of times more expensive than vibranium. These materials are the big part, not to mention the top equipment purchased from other laboratories and large companies. In addition, there are hundreds of scientists including Dr. Pyme, Dr. Banner, and Fitz. All of this finally integrated the world's only quantum tunnel in front of us. A tunnel that can truly perform quantum shuttle, go to the quantum field and return safely. In simpler and clearer words, except for the lack of a GPS that can navigate in time and space, this thing is a time machine. Such an invention is worth investing any price. Director Wang, we have made precise measurements and there is no problem in theory. Hope said, we should have waited for the completion of more effective quantum shuttle before trying it, but we really can't wait. I'm worried that my mother will have an accident if it takes too long. Of course you can refuse. This matter is actually none of your business. I wanted to go by myself, but my father didn't let me. You know, he's worried about my safety. She was contrary to her usual capable and decisive style of doing things, a little hesitant and a little shy, not wanting Lao Wang to take risks, and worried that Lao Wang would have problems. It's human nature, I understand. Lao Wang nodded. Don't worry, even if there are problems with the quantum tunnel and the Ant-Man armor, I can come back safely. Hope was a little confused. This was the second time she heard this statement. Is there any other way to enter and exit the quantum realm besides shrinking the body to subatomic size? This is the latest model of Ant-Man armor. Hope pressed a button, and a set of red and black armor appeared in front of Lao Wang. It still had the same appearance and the same taste. So what's new about it? We remade the calibrator and used a vibranium shell to ensure that it is safer and more stable. Even if it is hit by a huge force of 10 tons, there will be no problems. In addition, it has a certain degree of ability to resist energy shocks, based on the characteristics of vibranium. Hope explained. In addition, other parts of the armor also use new high-strength materials, such as carbon fiber, vibranium threads thinner than a hair, and special glass that can only be produced in the laboratory. The resistance and stability of the entire set of armor have been significantly improved. Lao Wang nodded. Do you have weapons? No, it can't be used in the quantum field. Hope earnestly reminded, no matter what you encounter in the quantum field, you must avoid it. We don't understand the quantum field, and any carelessness may cause irreparable accidents. In addition, you must avoid the quantum vortex, that is, the time vortex, otherwise you may reach any point in time. We don't have a sufficiently complete positioning instrument now, and you won't be able to come back then. Understood. Lao Wang smiled and said, anything else you need to remind me? No. Hope hesitated for a moment and chose to shut up. In fact, there is no need for Director Wang to take risks. After all, this is his own business. But since Director Wang insisted, she couldn't say anything. After all, she was actually still looking forward to it, hoping to rescue her mother as soon as possible. She dreamed of her mother every day, although 20 years had passed and her memory had long been blurred. You need some time to get familiar with the armor. Hope put it on Lao Wang himself, explained all the functions, and then said, after becoming smaller, your existing sense of distance, sense of time, sense of size, all senses will become different, so you must adapt, and then learn to operate flexibly, become bigger and smaller. Got, how is this possible? How did you do it? While she was talking, Lao Wang was already running fast, and then pressed the switch at the moment of jumping up, shrinking to smaller than an ant, successfully passing through the hair on her forehead, to the other side, and then becoming bigger again. The whole set of actions was as smooth as flowing water. Even Hope, who had tried many times before, didn't dare to guarantee that she could do better. No, it must not be so good. Have you worn Ant-Man armor before? Dr. Pime's eyes suddenly became dangerous. Could it be that Director Wang had stolen my Ant-Man armor without knowing it? It's not just Pime particles that can make things bigger or smaller, Dr. Pime. Lao Wang chuckled. I have experience in this area. Humph. Pime obviously didn't believe it. Hope was thoughtful. I heard that the Eastern Dragon can hide and appear, can grow or shrink. Could the immortal Iron Fist also have similar abilities? Or maybe this is a spell from Kamatage. I heard that powerful wizards have the ability to grow to giants and shrink, and can also travel through time. Lao Wang smiled but said nothing. When he was on good terms with the dwarves in American, he was often pulled over by that group of idiots to do experiments. What dwarf shrinking ray emitter, world amplifier, world shrinking machine. I don't know how many times I have played with them. Nothing special. I think we can start. Lao Wang was full of confidence. Okay. Hope nodded, and then turned on the switch. Lights lit up one by one, and everything in the entire tunnel became clearly visible. As energy continued to be input, the quantum tunnel gradually turned amber, looking like a high temperature furnace of several thousand degrees. Remember, what you have to do is not to rescue my mother, because we have no way to locate her now. What you have to do is to survive and observe in the quantum realm as much as possible. Remember everything there, and use these collectors to collect the energy of the quantum realm and bring it back. Hope reminded again. In this way, we can have a deeper understanding of the quantum realm and develop safer quantum shuttles and locators. Don't worry, I will be back. Lao Wang smiled and walked into the quantum tunnel. The amber light swallowed him. Under the gaze of Hope and Pime, Lao Wang disappeared. Chapter 343 The Wonderful Quantum Realm, Part 1. Everything in front of him was rapidly growing bigger, only he was shrinking. Lao Wang soon discovered that, just as he had guessed, his mental state was not affected at all, which showed that the spirit itself was a very high level energy, and could exist independently even in the subatomic state. Interestingly, although the body was shrinking, the carrying capacity for the soul and spirit did not change, so the spirit Lao Wang could mobilize was still the same as before, which made him full of confidence in his next journey. First it shrank to the size of a cell, then molecules, atoms, and finally to the subatomic state. Everything in front of him was changing wonderfully. This was a fantastic journey in the field of science and technology. It was amazing. In just a few seconds, everything had changed. He witnessed the molecular structure with his own eyes, saw the situation inside the nucleus, understood what a chemical bond was, and saw the manifestation of strong and weak interactions. This made the chemical knowledge he had returned to his teacher reappear in his mind. If the junior high school chemistry teacher who died early knew, would he be excited to climb out of the coffin? Strange, how could such a strange idea appear in my mind? Could it be that the quantum field still has some strange effects on me? And is this related to the fact that the soul has not left the body? Although I have experience growing bigger and smaller, even the craziest and most unreliable leopard dwarf would not shrink him to the size of a subatomic atom. At most, he would become the size of a mouse and be kicked like a ball. In this field alone, the pi particle is obviously more amazing than the dwarf shrinking ray. The body is the carrier of the soul. There is a wonderful connection between the two. If it exists alone without the body, the mystery of the soul will naturally allow it to enter this magical realm without being affected, but since it exists relying on the body, it is difficult not to be affected. Everything in front of me is full of geometric beauty, and some structures have broken through the limits of Lao Wang's imagination. Whether it is a Mobius strip, a clean bottle or a Penrose ladder, they all look pale and powerless here. Even more incredible structures, many of which can only be perceived and understood at the level of 4 or even 5 dimensions. The spiritual power has the ability to cross time and space and cross different dimensions, which the naked eye cannot. If a mathematician takes a trip here, perhaps he can win 10 Fields medals. If he also has extremely powerful spiritual perception, then his contribution to the basic field may be greater than 100 Fields medals. No painter or scientist can create such a wonderful world. The natural world itself is indeed much more wonderful than any imagination. Art comes from life and is, to a certain extent, higher than life, but in fact, life is the most beautiful art. At this moment, Lao Wang made an important decision. He must let Dr. Banner, Fitz and even Simmons, all the important scientists, go to the quantum field. In addition to the Taoist Buddha and God, this is the place closest to the truth of the universe. There are colorful lights everywhere, just like the ultimate splendor. And in these splendors, there are terrifying dangers. Some people think that the inside of the nucleus is a complete planet or even a galaxy. Although this statement is not advisable, if you only look at it with the naked eye, there are many similarities. This is a field where time and space are insignificant, and there are turbulences of time and space everywhere. It does not belong to any point in time or space, or it belongs to any point in time and space. If you want to return from here, you must have a sufficiently strong connection point, or an anchor point, a lighthouse that stands still in the turbulence of time and space, a beam of light that guides the way home. In Ant-Man 1, the connection between the second generation of Ant-Man and his daughter is the light of that lighthouse. The human spirit can exist beyond the quantum realm, and the emotions between father and daughter can certainly exist. Lao Wang, who once had a daughter, knows this very well. His daughter is the eternal starlight in her father's eyes. But for scientists, the spirit that is difficult to explain is not reliable. This is why it is necessary to build a quantum tunnel. Between the Ant-Man armor and the quantum tunnel, quantum level entanglement positioning is carried out to ensure that they are involved in a certain range. As long as Lao Wang presses a zoom button, he can break through the limitations of time and space in the process of continuous zooming, and break away from the original time and place. This is the simplest and most basic positioning. The calibrator and locator are the most important components, so they must be made of vibranium to ensure safety as much as possible. Interesting. Looking at everything around him and enjoying the second wonderful journey of mankind, Lao Wang let go of his spirit and felt carefully. After the human physiological structure is reduced to subatomic size, a strange chemical reaction has occurred, causing the human eye, brain and even all organs of the human body to be unable to process information in the quantum field and to be in a stagnant state. Once you leave the quantum field, everything will be forgotten, unless there is better equipment that can protect the human body from external interference and its own chemical reactions in the subatomic state. In this case, only a very few people can break through the limitations of the flesh and let the spirit dominate everything. This is why the second generation Ant-Man can use the amplifier to return to reality. At that moment, the call of his daughter awakened his muddle-headed spirit and made him strong enough, but only strong at that moment. So, how did the first generation of Wasp survive in such a world? Lao Wang quickly came up with the answer. This is a field where time and space are insignificant. It is full of time and space turbulence. The energy of the quantum field is constantly flowing, eroding everything, assimilating everything, and changing everything. The first generation of Wasp must be the only one in the coincidence. After immersion for many years, she absorbed the energy of the quantum field, so that her body and spirit have been evolved at the energy level. This should be an evolution that is many times more advanced than the super soldier serum, and it is difficult to repeat and unique. In Lao Wang's opinion, the first generation of Wasp is equivalent to absorbing the power of time and space. Perhaps to some extent, she is somewhat similar to the Bronze Dragon and the Grand Mage Elisand. She is a hidden superhero, and even without the Wasp armor, she is very powerful. So in this case, how to find the first generation of Wasp? The quantum field is uncertain. Because of the uncertainty of time and space, the field is infinite, and has no end at all. The only way to find the Wasp is to get in touch with her, obtain her time and space coordinates, and then locate her, so that you can go to the area where she stays through the quantum tunnel and meet her. Lao Wang let go of his spirit and searched carefully. He can now mobilize nearly 1% of his spirit at the peak moment, which is enough to cover half of the United States without being accurate enough. However, even so, he still couldn't find any trace. The ubiquitous time and space turbulence has a great impact on him, and there is no way to release it too far. His spirit is bound within the quantum field. Although he still has a weak perception of everything in the real world, it is really weak. It's time to leave. Lao Wang prepared to press the button. Suddenly, a shadow flashed past my eyes. Chapter 344, Mental Battle, Part 2. Is that the Wasp? The disorder of time and space made the shadow disappear in an instant. Even if he released his spiritual power at the first time, he still couldn't track it. Maybe it wasn't the real Wasp at all, but a spiritual afterimage or a time and space retention, or some connection he didn't understand at the level of quantum mechanics. It seems to be somewhat similar to the timeline of Azeroth, but also somewhat different. Lao Wang thought secretly. Azeroth has endless timelines, and all timelines form a time vortex that cannot be cut or sorted out. However, the Titans gave the Bronze Dragons the ability to control time, and gave the Bronze Dragons a very special artifact Time Hourglass, which allows the Bronze Dragons to sort out all timelines and accurately reach any place. In other words, the Time Hourglass itself is a high-level version of the Quantum Tunnel, which is much more perfect. If I exchange the Time Hourglass, maybe I can freely travel through the intricate timelines of the Marvel Universe. Lao Wang felt warm. The Time Hourglass is a divine tool of the same level as a focusing iris. Its value is far higher than the Fist of the Heavens and Fuzan, Wanderer's Friend, and even higher than all professional divine tools. If you want to exchange it, you have to wait a long time. Goodbye, Quantum Realm. He pressed the button, and his eyes suddenly flickered. Strange, has something happened outside? Lao Wang's spirit continued to break through the limitations of the quantum realm as his body grew larger. In the barriers of time and space, it extended to the material world of the real level, and saw a figure. A man with a goat helmet, light gold armor, dark green cloak, and a pale face. Loki. It was not a particularly real existence, but more like a projection across countless planets, composed of pure spiritual power. He also held a scepter in his hand. Is that the Mind Scepter? He is indeed still alive, and he got the Mind Scepter from Thanos. Shouldn't he go to S.H.I.E.L.D. to interfere with the research of the Cosmic Cube? Why did he come here? In addition, who is the woman next to him? It was a graceful woman, wearing silver white body armor and a silver white cape, wrapped up tightly, revealing only her blue face. It was also a spiritual projection, but it was much stronger than Loki, and had reached the level of the gods of the wilderness. Could it be the superstar among the 5 Obsidian generals? At this moment, Dr. Pym, who was standing next to Loki, was about to press the button to turn off the power. Obviously, he had been affected or even controlled by Loki or the superstar. Lao Wang secretly cried out that it was not good, and immediately released all his spiritual power. At this moment, he didn't even care whether his body could bear it. The spiritual power that surpassed ordinary wilderness demigods instantly broke through the time and space barriers of the quantum field and bombarded Loki and the superstar. Immortal. Iron Fist. Loki's voice rang in Lao Wang's mind, followed by the voice of the superstar. Inferior genes, backward civilization, dirty and ugly earthlings. How can someone compete with me in spiritual power? What a pity, you will be lost in the vortex of time and space forever. The two sensed Lao Wang's spirit at the same time and resisted immediately. Lao Wang, Loki, the Mind Scepter, and Supergiant. 4 spiritual masters, 4 spiritual powers of the highest demigod level. One crossed the barrier of the quantum field, and the other 3 crossed an unknown distance of countless light years, and collided in the quantum mechanics laboratory. Boom. The terrifying spiritual power swept the entire quantum tunnel, even the entire Azeroth laboratory, and even the area of hundreds of kilometers in radius. Birds fell from the sky, wild animals in the jungle were dizzy, and even the residents living nearby were unconscious in the mental shock. The members of the Azeroth laboratory at the center of the storm also fainted. At the critical moment, a powerful spiritual force enveloped them all, bearing the damage of the mental shock, and preventing them from becoming stupid. 2 muffled groans sounded in succession, and the mental projections quickly dissipated. Seeing the disappearance of Loki and Supergiant's mental projections, Lao Wang smiled slightly. The mental projections were damaged, and they would inevitably be fed back to the main body through the connection in the dark. Loki and Supergiant would also be injured, and it would be impossible for them to come to the Earth to make trouble in a short time. As for myself, his face suddenly became very ugly. During this time in the quantum realm, he was very careful even when using his mental power, fearing that he would disturb the already chaotic space-time turbulence and cause unnecessary changes. But the powerful mental storm just now had obviously changed his position, causing the response between Ant-Man's armor and the quantum tunnel to shift to a certain extent, and there was no time to automatically correct the error. This means that, although he was not involved in the time vortex, he walked into the wrong fork in the road during his journey in time and space. Everything in front of him was rapidly getting bigger until it returned to its normal size. Looking around, Lao Wang was at a loss. What the hell am I in? In the depths of the universe, a spaceship was flying. It passed through space jump points and finally arrived at another planet. This is a desolate planet with traces of war everywhere. 10 years ago, this was still a technological planet, where a surface civilization that was about to leave the planetary system was born. However, after only 1 month, it was completely destroyed and turned into a biochemical base for another civilization. A large amount of raw materials were continuously transported here from other planets, and then produced in biochemical factories, and finally turned into half biochemical and half mechanical modified creatures, modified humans, or modified behemoths. The spacecraft landed, and the hatch opened. Loki and Supergiant walked out. Is this the territory of the Chitauri? Loki looked around, and his mind, which had just been severely injured, scanned the area of dozens of kilometers. When he saw the ugly faces of those biochemical warriors clearly, he showed a contemptuous smile on his face. Chitauri, space pirates. This is a dirty, despicable, ugly, and shameless garbage race, which is far inferior to the Asgardians. Chitauri, Loki. Supergiant's cold and deep voice like the starry sky sounded. Although the Chitauri are only a part of Thanos' huge power, they are like dogs in front of the son of Thanos, but you must respect them. If I remember correctly, before the portal was opened, the Chitauri were under my command. Loki said without humility. You hold the Mind Scepter, but you were defeated by the immortal Iron Fist. I really doubt whether it was the right decision for Thanos to give you the Mind Scepter. Superstar looked disdainful. Are you questioning Thanos' decision? Loki held the scepter tightly. No one knows the Earth better than me, and knows those despicable Earthlings better. Only I can help him get the Cosmic Cube. Superstar snorted. She was the original owner of the Mind Scepter. She thought such an important matter would be handed over to her, but she didn't expect it to be handed over to Loki. Of course she didn't dare to question Thanos' decision, and said coldly, Loki, we failed this time, and alarmed the Sorcerer Supreme. What are you going to do? If we go directly to Earth, we will definitely be discovered by the defense network of the 3 major temples, but with the help of the power of the Mind Scepter for mental projection, even the Sorcerer Supreme will not be able to find it. Her power is 1 level lower than the Mind Scepter. Loki said, when my injuries are healed, I will project to Earth again, and control the researchers of S.H.I.E.L.D. to find a way to use the power of the Cosmic Cube to open the portal leading here. Then you can lead the Chitauri army to attack Earth. This is the original plan. Supergiant said, the resistance of the Earth is beyond our imagination. We must make more preparations. Of course, I already have a plan. Loki looked at the mind scepter in his hand, with a smile on his face. No external force can avoid the eyes of the Sorcerer Supreme, and come to Earth. But what if our help has come from Earth? Earthlings are more difficult to deal with than we thought. The supergiant did not hide his contempt. Ordinary people are useless to us. The 3 major holy temples have been monitoring the most powerful individuals on Earth. You want to control them with the Mind Scepter? You can't do it at such a long distance with your control over the power of the Mind Scepter. So I don't intend to control those freaks on Earth at all. Loki raised the Mind Scepter and smiled slightly. I plan to create freaks. Create freaks. The supergiant was slightly stunned. Use the power of the Mind Scepter? Not just the Mind Scepter, but also the Cosmic Cube. The wildfire in Loki's heart was burning. When the power of the 2 cosmic treasures is combined, I really want to know what the result will be. Chapter 345 Time Travel. Part 3. A flash of light appeared. Old Wang appeared. Looking around, everything in front of him seemed incompatible with modern society. Although traces of civilization can be seen, it is at least several decades behind New York in 2011. So which era did I come to? The Cold War or the Republic of China? Old Wang, who has rich experience in time travel, was not panicked at all and quickly adjusted his mentality. Just as he said, even if there is a problem with quantum shuttle, he has the confidence and ability to return to the original time point. Of course, there will be a certain price to pay. First, self-examination. My mental state is fine, but the travel in the quantum field has left a lot of strange energy in the quantum field on my body, or the power of time and space, but it will slowly dissipate over time. Wait, why wait for it to dissipate? The energy in the quantum field is an extremely high level energy. Every profession has its own expertise. Old Wang can't control this energy, but it doesn't mean that there is no way at all. Miss, help me. He touched the Heart of Azeroth on his chest, his voice gentle and nervous. A cold snort sounded in his mind. You only remembered me when you were in trouble? Tell me, how long have you not chatted with me? Do you know how frustrated I have been during this period? How low has my appearance rate been? Lao Wang was speechless and asked in his heart, you have been spying. Okay, you know everything outside, and you even don't let go of paying public grain, and I dare not refuse. So what are you holding back? I was wrong. It is meaningless to explain to a woman. Lao Wang knows this too well, so he apologized decisively and lowered his posture, kneeled down and begged for forgiveness. Humph, no forgiveness. The young lady pouted. The Heart of Azeroth emitted a deep blue light, and the Titan energy flowed throughout the body, plundering all the quantum energy. Lao Wang instantly felt his whole body lighten and breathed a sigh of relief. Now he doesn't even have a drop of blood, and everything on his body is useful, but he can't exchange it. Since he got the Heart of Azeroth back, he has never been as poor as he is now. Fortunately, a lot of quantum energy has been absorbed. These high-level energies are stored in the Heart of Azeroth, and they can be used for exchange when necessary. There is blood on the hands, and the heart is not panic. Miss, you go ahead. When I get back, I'll have Fitz build you a quantum computer, equip it with 108K high-definition monitors, and download all the movies, TV series, cartoons, animations, variety shows, dramas, and novels in human history for you to watch. Lao Wang promised. That's what you said. The little sister snorted, quite satisfied. After comforting the little sister, Lao Wang continued to check himself. The mental confrontation with Loki, Superstar, and the Mind Scepter has caused me a lot of mental damage. It will take about a week to fully recover. Superstar may not be a big problem, but Loki is definitely worse off than me. But this is not a problem. The remaining mental energy is enough to deal with most emergencies. There is no problem with my physical condition. All aspects are intact. All organs are there, and the corresponding functions are not damaged. Of course, this needs further verification. In addition, there are no extra organs. That should not be there, which is good. The cultivation and realm are all there. The true key is full, and the element are abundant. The weight and height are normal. After the self-examination, Lao Wang released his mind and quickly found a person. A busy farmer. Ask about the situation first, then make a decision. A few minutes later. 1942 is actually the World War II period. Let me think. Seems to be the year when Captain America was born. Lao Wang rubbed his temple. During those years in World of Warcraft, he had a good relationship with the Bronze Dragon clan, and took a ride on time travel many times, helping the Bronze Dragon solve many troubles caused by the Eternal Dragon, and traveled with the Bronze Little Ali Chromie for a while. From Chromie, Lao Wang learned a lot of rules of time travel. The timeline has a strong automatic error correction ability. The impact of any event has a certain range. The mosquito that was slapped to death 100 million years ago could not really cause the collapse of the future and the destruction of the entire world line, nor could it change the history 100 million years later. Even if the time traveler changes something in a very small range, it is just an inconspicuous ripple in the long river of time, and the impact cannot be far. Only the change of major events will set off huge waves in the long river of time, which will affect the more distant future. In other words, as long as it does not change the outcome of World War II and prevent the birth of Captain America, as long as Lao Wang does not try to participate in history and change history, there will not be too many problems. And if we take into account the existence of the Supreme Sorcerer, then even those smaller events should not be changed. Otherwise it is easy to alarm the other party. The existence of the Heart of Azeroth makes it difficult for the Supreme Sorcerer to position himself, and such a big man is impossible and incapable of caring about every event in history. As long as you don't attract her attention, nothing will go wrong. Now I have two choices. He thought seriously. First, be a salted fish who does nothing, live until 2011, and then reappear after I enter the quantum field, so that my timeline forms a perfect closed loop. But in this way, from the time I travel to 2011, there will be two of me, and two Hearts of Azeroth at the same time. I'm nothing, but if two artifacts like the Heart of Azeroth appear at the same time, there is a high probability that something will go wrong. The lack of the Infinity Stones will lead to the emergence of parallel universes, and the extra Heart of Azeroth will have the same effect, so this method is not advisable. Then there is only one left. Before I travel to the Marvel world, I must travel back. Lao Wang touched the Ant-Man armor on his body. The technological content of this armor is not high enough, and it is not as good as the Iron Man version in Avengers Endgame. The main reason is that there is no bracelet for time and space positioning. Once you appear at the wrong time, there is no way to go back. So I can only think of other ways. Either ask the Supreme Sorcerer Ancient One for help, or rely on the Heart of Azeroth. From our previous interactions, Ancient One didn't know me at all before 2008, so I absolutely can't go to Ancient One, otherwise it will change history. Such a big event will definitely lead to the emergence of a parallel universe. And if you rely on the Heart of Azeroth, there are many ways, but each one requires a lot of resources to exchange. So what I have to do now is to find resources, and in this process, it can't have too much impact on history. After thinking for 5 minutes, Lao Wang's eyes suddenly lit up. Any known and sufficiently precious resource has had a greater or lesser impact on history, so what I'm looking for are those treasures that have not been revealed until 2011. Luckily, when I was bored, I read a lot of articles written by unscrupulous editors to cheat clicks, such as the top 10 treasures of the world, the top 10 unsolved mysteries, 2 or 3 things you need to know about the pyramids, and the mystery of Qin Shi Huang's tomb, so I have a certain understanding of these. So, treasures, here I come. Chapter 346, Temple of Odin, Part 1. Facts have proved that the articles copied and borrowed by unscrupulous editors are just like Trump's words on Twitter, which are completely untrustworthy. After working hard for more than half a month and getting only 1 milligram of Azeroth's blood, Lao Wang gave up completely. Maybe I should think about the Cosmic Cube. 1942. It was not only the year when Captain America was born, but also the year when the Cosmic Cube was unearthed. Calculating the time, it is now January, and the Cosmic Cube is probably still in the Temple of Odin in Norway. In fact, Lao Wang had thought of this a long time ago. But because it is difficult to operate, he didn't do it. Such an important thing will definitely attract the attention of many people, such as Odin who hid it on the earth, and the elder sister of the Ancient One. It would be a joke to say that this Earth Guardian didn't even know about the cosmic treasure hidden in his own vegetable garden. Even Wang Panxi, who is a librarian, knows what the Infinity Stones are. How can the Supreme Sorcerer not know? The defense system of the three major temples can even monitor the space-time channel, not to mention the powerful energy entity of the Cosmic Cube. Not to mention that Hydra has already obtained the Cosmic Cube and is conducting research, extracting the energy of the Cosmic Cube to make energy weapons, and wants to use those weapons to dominate the world. The energy fluctuations generated have long attracted the attention of those who are interested. Lao Wang even suspected, at this time, Ancient One and Odin are both staring at the Cosmic Cube. For these two big guys, there are not many means in the universe that can threaten them. In addition to those beings of the same level, there are only a limited number of cosmic treasures. Odin is probably really old, and his ambitions have faded. He only thinks about how to live a few more days, teach his son more, and cultivate the next generation for Asgard. Therefore, he puts up things like the Cosmic Cube that Thor definitely cannot master, so as not to cause trouble for Asgard and be targeted by Thanos and his ilk. How safe the Earth is. Odin knows the Earth too well. He knows that this ghost place is not only guarded by the supreme sorcerers of all generations, but also hides countless secrets, and there is never a shortage of father-level existences. Those powerful people in the universe have always coveted and feared the Earth. Only clowns who know nothing can be so unscrupulous. The reason why Odin did this was probably because of the influence of his father. The father of the gods in the previous generation, Bor, defeated the Dark Elves and took away another infinite gem, the reality gem Ether. Wasn't it also hidden on the Earth? The Ancient One certainly knew this. Considering the relationship between Odin and Agamotto, this favor must be done. She was not born when Odin hid the Cosmic Cube. This matter was probably handed down by the previous generation of Supreme Sorcerer. Although she has been the Supreme Sorcerer for hundreds of years, there is no collection of books about the ancient knowledge of the Infinity Gems in the library of Kamataj. Even the use of the Time Gem was figured out by Agamotto for who knows how long. Cosmic Cube. That thing is Odin's strong point, and it is useless for her to take it. So it has been hidden. Odin doesn't want to use it, and the Ancient One can't use it. But it must not be allowed to be obtained by others. For a godlike existence like them, there is nothing to fear, as long as anyone has not collected all 6 Infinity Stones. So of course they have to keep an eye on it. If they want to take the Cosmic Cube away, they will definitely alert the two big guys. If Lao Wang really wants the Cosmic Cube, there is no need to take risks at another time node. He could have gone to S.H.I.E.L.D. to snatch it away long ago, and Odin and Ancient One might not be able to stop him. The reason why he didn't do that is naturally because of his own considerations. He didn't want to exchange such a good thing. After all, even in World of Warcraft, it is difficult to find something of the same value. If he just holds it in his hand, not only can he not use it, but it is also easy to attract the covetousness of others. So Lao Wang's idea is, keep it with others first, and wait until his strength is strong enough, and he has the ability to use the power of the Cosmic Cube, and then snatch it away. And if that time really comes, the journey in this universe will probably be coming to an end. As for now, go and have a look first. He is in New York, nearly 6,000 kilometers away from Norway. As long as it is not interstellar teleportation, the Heart of Azeroth can use any kind of energy to open the door with its own true energy. Of course, the favorite is definitely the blood of Azeroth, which is the essence of the Titans, and has a very high energy level. Norway, Tengsberg. I'm here. Is this Tengsberg? Looking at the desolate land in front of him, it is completely different from New York 70 years later. This is not a city, but a suburb. Somewhere in the town, there is an ancient Odin temple, where the Cosmic Cube is hidden. It's hidden quite tightly. After releasing all his spirit, he still couldn't find any clues from the temple, and there was no energy fluctuation of a high-level energy body. On the one hand, this is because the divine object is self-concealed. When it is not activated, the Cosmic Cube does not show extremely strong energy fluctuations, so it will not attract the attention of the advanced civilizations of the universe and the existence of the father and the sub-father, so as to ensure safety. On the other hand, Odin may have prepared some precautions to isolate the energy fluctuations of the Cosmic Cube. Otherwise, the distance is so close, there is no reason why Lao Wang can't find it. Keep going forward. Even after entering the temple, he still didn't feel anything unusual. There were no magic circles, no runes, and even no traps. This is the best way to hide. Any trap or hiding method cannot be absolutely hidden, and it is easy to be discovered by those who are interested and capable. Odin used the oldest and most effective hiding method. Unless you really know the location of the cosmic cube, it is difficult to find it. Invisibility. After consuming his true energy to exchange for the lowest level of invisibility, Lao Wang walked into it leisurely. This temple has always been worshipped and guarded by people who believe in the Norse gods. Of course, with the continuous development of science and technology civilization, people's enthusiasm for mythology and religion has been extinguished bit by bit. There are only two people guarding the huge temple, one is very old and the other is relatively young. The two also have to eat, drink, defecate and urinate, and occasionally they will leave. Taking this opportunity, Lao Wang looked around. There is a coffin made of rock in the hall of the temple. Inside is a corpse. It is unknown whether it is a human or an Asgardian. He is wearing ancient armor, with his hands crossed on his chest, and there is a light blue square in the middle. It looks exactly like the cosmic cube. However, it is obviously fake. Odin injected a little bit of cosmic cube energy into it as a disguise, which is enough to deceive most people, but it can't deceive Lao Wang. He walked past the coffin and came to the deepest mural. The whole wall is covered with murals. A big tree from bottom to top, surrounded by various mythological creatures, representing the world tree and the 9 realms in Norse mythology. There is a snake wrapped around it, which is the mid-world serpent Jumunganda, and on the head of the giant python, there is a stone inlaid. Lao Wang reached out and pressed lightly. A cube-shaped box stretched out from the wall. Sorry, my right arm and right hand have problems today. I have no strength at all, and it's sore and painful. I finally finished writing. The doctor said that I just need to rest, but this is the hardest thing. It seems that I would rather take medicine and get injections. Chapter 347 Stealing the Energy of the Cosmic Cube, Part 2. The mechanism is extremely simple. Lao Wang shook his head. To open the mechanism, a lot of power is needed, which ordinary people cannot do at all, so it has never been discovered. When the box was opened, the real cosmic cube was inside. The product of the Big Bang of the singularity, the energy of the origin of the universe, the condensation of the highest energy of the single universe. Some of the laws of the entire universe are condensed in just 6 gems, and the cosmic cube represents the space in it. Azeroth. Picking up the cosmic cube and feeling the stable and weak, but actually surging energy fluctuations like deep sea undercurrents, Lao Wang asked softly, "Can you analyze it? I mean the cosmic cube, not the space stone." The cosmic cube and the space stone are two different things. The former is just a protective shell for the latter, or a limiter. At least a demigod level is required to have the ability to directly touch the real infinity stones without being hurt, such as Thanos, such as the Hulk. With the cosmic cube, the output power of the space stone is reduced, and there is an extra layer of cover, so that even the boiled egg dares to reach out and take it. If Lao Wang remembered correctly, except for the soul gem, all other gems have protective devices. The space gem made a transparent cube and became the cosmic cube. The time gem was made into the Eye of Agamotto. The power gem was wrapped in the cosmic orb. The mind gem was first embedded in the scepter given by Thanos to Loki, and later embedded in Vision's head. The reality gem showed another state, the ether particle. And these protective devices themselves also contain extremely high magic or technology, at least artifact level. Of course. The young lady's voice sounded, but it will consume a lot of blood. Lao Wang nodded. This was not his purpose. He just asked casually. The cosmic cube is very hard. Even if it is just a shell, it requires Thanos level power to destroy it. It should be an ordinary artifact level. If you want to analyze it, at least hundreds of grams of Azeroth's blood are needed. We can only talk about it later. Can the Heart of Azeroth absorb the energy of the cosmic cube? Lao Wang continued to ask. Yes. The young lady answered again. Its energy is at the same level as the Titan energy, and both are the original laws of the universe. But you have to be careful. This level of energy absorption will definitely attract the attention of Odin and Ancient One. The time and space interference ability of the Heart of Azeroth itself can help you buy some time, but not long. You don't have much time. How much is not much? Lao Wang asked. At most 30 seconds. The young lady replied. Half a minute? Lao Wang smiled slightly. That's enough. Let's start. Places like the Temple of Odin will definitely be noticed by Odin and Ancient One as soon as something happens. It's too dangerous. Lao Wang teleported directly and came thousands of miles away. The next moment, a blue light flashed and the cosmic cube disappeared. At the same time, Kamataj, the forbidden library. Ancient One is reading documents. The temple protects the earth and the wizard protects the temple. The war in the secular world has nothing to do with her. But the 2 consecutive world wars have had a huge impact on human civilization, with too many casualties. She can't ignore it, but she dare not. Several times, with the help of the power of the Eye of Agamotto, she traveled through the long river of time and saw thousands and trillions of futures. The futures with her participation were often worse than those without her participation. Many of them even led to the destruction of the Earth, the Milky Way, and even the entire universe. A single move can affect the whole body. It is a taboo for mages to interfere with human civilization. Once they interfere, they will attract the attention of those who are ready to make a move in the multiverse. The consequences will be far more terrifying than a world war. She has been here for a full month, trying to find the wisdom of the sages from the books. However, she found nothing. Perhaps, doing nothing is the best choice. Ancient One sighed. Every profession has its own specialty. She is a leader among mages, but in terms of politics and military affairs, she is just a layman, and laymen should not interfere with experts. Suddenly, the Eye of Agamotto on her chest emitted an emerald light, and she raised her eyebrows. The cosmic cube has disappeared? No. It is still in this universe, in a special space. It is disturbed by the power of time and space, and it is difficult to locate it accurately. The cosmic cube is of great importance. She stretched out her hand to draw a circle, opened the door, and came to the Temple of Odin. Looking at the murals that were obviously tampered with, and feeling the golden gaze from the depths of the universe, the Ancient One raised his head slightly and said lightly, Heimdall, have you found anything? No discovery. Heimdall's voice sounded. The Ancient One frowned. Every day, Heimdall would look at the Temple of Odin. As long as there was energy leakage from the cosmic cube, it would be difficult to escape his eyes. In terms of observing the earth alone, without the help of the cauldron of all things, she is actually not as good as Heimdall. Even he didn't find it. The power that does not belong to this universe is probably the work of other universes or extra dimensions. Odin's voice sounded. There is a strong connection between the Infinity Stones. Now only you can track the cosmic cube. Ancient One, please trouble you. The Ancient One nodded. Neither she nor Odin could sense the location of the cosmic cube directly, but with the help of the Eye of Agamotto, it would not be a big problem. She carefully sensed, and roughly found the location of the cosmic cube. She teleported immediately and soon arrived thousands of miles away. It's probably nearby. Just as Ancient One was about to release her spirit to search, she suddenly sensed the fluctuation of space. Teleportation? It seems to be related to a certain artifact. It actually has its own time and space interference. At least an artifact of the level of the Spear of Eternity. Even I find it difficult to locate it. She released her spirit and carefully sensed the changes in space. After a full 10 seconds, she finally determined the location. Odin Temple. That damn thief. He actually went back. Teleport again. Just after returning to the temple, Ancient One once again sensed the fluctuation of space. This time she did not continue to track, but looked at the mural of the world tree. She knew without looking that the cosmic cube had returned there. He took the cosmic cube and sent it back. Who is it, and what does he want to do? Ancient One couldn't figure it out, no matter how hard he thought, so he simply looked up at the sky. Odin, Heimdall, you have been watching this place. What have you found? Someone was teleported here, but he became invisible. It's a very powerful invisibility technique that even I can't see through. Heimdall's voice sounded. He has left, and I can't track him. I can't track him either. If he deliberately hides, none of us can find him. He doesn't have the cosmic cube now. Ancient One frowned. He has an artifact that interferes with time and space, and it seems the same level as the Infinity Stones. Strange. In this universe, apart from the Infinity Stones, how could there be an artifact of the same level? The cosmic cube is not safe. Odin's voice came from Asgard. It can't stay here. No, it must stay here. Ancient One said lightly, this is the best choice. After I have seen trillions of futures. The 3 major temples will keep an eye on this place, and so will I. If that person comes again, he can't escape. Okay. Odin's voice disappeared. Immediately afterwards, Ancient One also disappeared. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 348, Original Super Soldier Serum, Part 1. 6,000 kilometers away, New York. Without teleportation, he ran for 300 kilometers, and finally he breathed a sigh of relief, after gathering all his energy. Odin, Ancient One, and Heimdall. It's so fucking exciting. Thinking of this series of actions, even a powerful and experienced person like Lao Wang had cold sweat on his forehead, and he felt the excitement of returning to the adventure of World of Warcraft. He put the cosmic cube into the Heart of Azeroth, and absorbed energy at a very fast speed. After about 20 seconds, when he sensed the spatial fluctuation of the portal nearby, he immediately converted to invisibility, and returned to the Temple of Odin. He put the cosmic cube back under the prying of Heimdall, and teleported away again. He first went to South America, then to the South Pole, then to the North Pole, China, South America, and finally came to New York. Then he ran 300 kilometers away purely with physical strength. All of this was to avoid the pursuit of the 2 great gods and Heimdall. Even if we look at the entire universe, in a small place like Earth, these 3 are probably the top 3 warriors. Lao Wang has only seen such guys a few times in World of Warcraft. They are very strong in all aspects. Supreme Mage. It's amazing. Shaking his head and sighing, Lao Wang finally had time to ask, Azeroth, how much energy of the cosmic cube has been absorbed? Equivalent to 10 grams of Azeroth's blood. The voice of the young lady sounded. Just this little? I worked so hard for so long, and took such a big risk, but the energy I got was actually equivalent to 100 billion US dollars, which can't even be bought by Stark Industries? Lao Wang was stunned. The cosmic cube contains the space gem, which contains cosmic level energy. How could it be just this little? According to his understanding, the energy of the space gem should be more than the whole body energy of an adult titan. The cosmic cube limits the energy input of the space gem. The young lady explained, only by mastering the corresponding knowledge can you really use the space gem and increase the energy input power. In addition, you may have some misunderstandings. Misunderstanding? Lao Wang didn't know what he misunderstood. Is the cosmic cube not as awesome as imagined? Like the Titans, the Infinity Gems are the controllers of the rules, not the owners of the rules. The young lady said, the Infinity Gems themselves do not contain cosmic energy, but can only mobilize the laws of the universe without limit, and extract cosmic energy. Do you understand? Lao Wang understood. The Infinity Gems are not fuel tanks, but engines. The fuel tank of the Infinity Engine is the entire universe. The 6 Infinity Gems can directly mobilize the power of the laws of the universe itself. They are as strong as the universe, and they themselves have little energy. If you want to get energy, you must extract it at any time. So just now, the Heart of Azeroth did not extract energy from the cosmic cube, but extracted energy from the entire universe itself through the cosmic cube. How much can be extracted per unit time depends on the output power of the cosmic cube. The power can be adjusted. And if you want to adjust it, you must master the use of the cosmic cube and the corresponding ancient knowledge. Otherwise, the power must be very low. No, you still don't understand what I mean, Wang. The young lady touched Lao Wang's head. The Infinity Stones are the engine, and the cosmic cube is a fuel tank. Lao Wang's eyes shrank suddenly. So that's it. The cosmic cube is a container of the Infinity Stones, and it is also the container of the energy output of the Infinity Stones. The output power of the Infinity Stones itself if no one adjusts it, should be very low, so low that it is outrageous. But as time goes by, or 1,000 years have passed in a flash, and even if the output power is low, it is enough to fill the cosmic cube. In other words, the energy extracted by the Heart of Azeroth before is actually the energy in the cosmic cube. 10 grams of Azeroth's blood should be enough. Lao Wang nodded silently. If nothing unexpected happens, from now on, Odin and Ancient One will stare at the cosmic cube, and it will be almost impossible to steal energy again. Since you can go back at any time, there is no need to go back so early. Lao Wang took out a towel and wiped his sweat. There is a place I should go to. There was enough time. He strolled leisurely and soon came to Brooklyn. You can't run away. Looking at the red car speeding in the distance, Steve Rogers gritted his teeth. After trying so many times, he finally fulfilled his wish and successfully joined the army and became a soldier of the Strategic Scientific Corps. Although he has never been able to go to the front line, but has only been training continuously in the base, it is enough for him. His physical fitness is very poor. He has asthma, scarlet fever, rheumatic fever, high blood pressure, heart disease, and several common diseases. Not to mention joining the army, it is a problem whether he can live for a few years. Although he has been working hard, although he has always had hope, he knows very well there is actually no hope. But the appearance of that person changed everything. At the Stark Tomorrowland Expo, he participated in the draft again and met Dr. Erkins. He gave himself a chance. Steve didn't know if he seized this opportunity or if Dr. Erkins had taken a fancy to him from the beginning. In any case, he became the only lucky one and was injected with super soldier serum in a secret base in Brooklyn. The skinny and sick consumptive ghost disappeared, replaced by a strong super soldier. However, the joy lasted for less than 2 minutes and disappeared with violent explosions and sharp gunshots. Someone shot and killed Dr. Erkins, my benefactor. No matter where I chase him, even if I chase him to Germany, Berlin, or the lair of the asterisk, I will catch you. Steve ran faster and faster. After a few minutes, he finally caught up with the man, but the other party held a child hostage, pushed the child into a deep river, and took the opportunity to escape. He continued to chase. The other party actually jumped into the water and got into an underwater plane. Steve jumped down immediately, broke the glass with one punch, and threw the man from the water to the ground. Bang! He hit the man with one punch and heard a crisp sound. Turning his head, he saw a small glass tube fall into the ground, and blue color flowed out. Who are you? He grabbed the man's collar, his voice full of anger. I'm the first one among the crowd. Cut off one head, and 2 will grow. Long live Hydra. The man bit the poison hidden behind his teeth, and died on the spot. A few minutes later, a woman in uniform ran over. Steve, he's dead. The woman walked to the body and picked up the broken glass tube. The last tube of super soldier serum, Dr. Erkins' hard work, is gone. Gone. When a person dies, everything is gone. Steve muttered to himself. The two were obviously talking about different things, and they didn't care about the same thing. I hope the information left by Dr. Erkins can help us restore the super soldier serum. The woman sighed. Steve, we should go and send Dr. Erkins off for the last time. A car drove over, and the 2 soldiers put away the broken glass tube, then pried open the floor tiles, and took them away together. As soon as they left, a slightly fat figure appeared from invisibility. Drive Erkins' version of super soldier serum. He suddenly raised his hand. The azure mist diffused from the soil, and condensed into a ball of liquid. It was only as big as a little finger. For Lao Wang, it was more precious than 10 grams of Azeroth's blood. With it, Simmons and Dr. Banner should be able to perfectly restore the super soldier serum, right? Putting away the liquid, Lao Wang looked up at the sky. It's time to go back. He whispered, Azeroth, I need the ability to travel through time and space. Thank you for the 10 grams of Azeroth's blood. Along with the ethereal voice, a yellow hourglass appeared. A grain of time sand fell, and Lao Wang disappeared. Chapter 349, Old Wang Returns, Part 2. Quantum Mechanics Laboratory. I don't know how long it took. Hope woke up with her. She looked around, and the previous memories emerged in her mind. Director Wang put on the Ant-Man armor and entered the quantum field through the quantum tunnel. According to the original plan, I will press the button in 10 seconds to connect with him, and then he will come back. But before I pressed the button, I saw my father actually wanted to close the quantum tunnel. Why would he do that? Did he know that I like Director Wang? But I didn't tell him, and I didn't show it. How could he know? I was about to stop him. Then I didn't know anything. So what happened? She looked around. All the researchers fainted, including her father. The quantum tunnel was still open, but Director Wang obviously didn't come back. Looking at the watch again, an hour had passed. Hope panicked. Could it be Director Wang was involved in a time vortex? But even if that was the case, there was no way to explain the situation just now. Why did everyone faint? No, I have to wake up my father and ask about the situation. I have to find Sky and other people. Maybe they know what happened. Hope made up her mind. A voice suddenly sounded. Miss Hope, is there anyone as awake as me? She turned around quickly and was slightly stunned. The man was wearing a yellow hood, a yellow monk's robe, and holding a folding fan in his hand. He looked very strange. Could all this be related to him? Just as she was about to do something, the man lifted his hood and revealed a beautiful bald head. It turned out to be a woman, and so beautiful. For some reason, Hope instinctively felt that this person was very kind and should be a good person. The idea of knocking the other person down, tying him up, and interrogating him completely disappeared. I'm the Ancient One, from Kamataj, and a friend of Director Wang. The Ancient One smiled slightly. I felt a very strong mental and space-time fluctuation, so I came to see. Can you tell me what happened? The Ancient One? Kamataj. It turned out to be the Supreme Sorcerer mentioned by Director Wang, the Guardian of the Earth. She quickly explained the situation, and then looked expectant. Supreme Sorcerer, Director Wang will be okay, right? You are the Guardian of the Earth and the Controller of Time. You will definitely be able to save him, right? The Ancient One made a hand gesture, and countless light spots appeared out of thin air, forming two figures. A man and a woman, and the man was holding a scepter in his hand. It was Loki. Hope, who had watched the relevant video, immediately understood, clenched his fist, and said angrily, so he did it. But what is the scepter in his hand, and who is the woman next to him? It turned out to be Thanos' work, using the power of the Mind Stone to perform a cosmic level mental projection. No wonder I didn't even notice it. The inertia of the timeline is really amazing. What is supposed to happen will still happen. The Ancient One nodded slightly. She waved her hand gently, and the light spots disappeared. Maybe I should go to the long river of history to take a look, and some secrets should be revealed. She made a hand gesture again, and the eye of Agamotto on her chest emitted an emerald light. After a few seconds, the Ancient One stopped, with a tired look on his face. That time and space fluctuation, the time and space thief who could not be located or tracked, turned out to be him? Ancient One thought thoughtfully. There is no trace of him left in history, no parallel universe, no time island or time and space fragment, so even I didn't think it was him. It seems that he really understands the rules of time and space, and has not tried to change what has happened. Or, he knows someone who understands the rules of time and space? Could it be related to the necklace on his chest? What are you talking about? Hope looked confused. Although I understand every word you said, I don't understand it at all when you add them together. Can you speak human language, such as quantum tunneling effect, quantum entanglement, quantum state superposition, etc.? We are talking about time travel, Miss Hope. Guyi carefully looked at the equipment around him, especially the quantum tunnel that emitted amber light, and felt the faint time and space fluctuations in it. He nodded slightly. Drive Pime is amazing to be able to use technological means to achieve effects similar to advanced spells. You are even more amazing, Supreme Sorcerer. Hope asked hurriedly. Director Wang said that you have the ability to see through the past and the future. Supreme Sorcerer, has he been swept away by the time vortex? Can he come back? Of course. Guyi turned and looked in another direction. He is back. 300 kilometers northwest of the Azeroth laboratory, above the high seas. The power of time and space converges there, forming a time and space vortex. Suddenly, a slightly fat figure walked out. The time is set to be 1 hour after I entered the quantum realm, and I don't know how much error there is. This is World of Warcraft after all. Although the time hourglass is a divine artifact given to the bronze dragon by the titans, it is probably not as useful as the time gem in this world. Lao Wang looked up at the sky, roughly determined the position of the sun, and nodded slightly. The deviation is not big. An hour has passed, and I don't know what happened to the quantum mechanics laboratory. He hurriedly opened the door. As soon as he returned to the Azeroth laboratory, Lao Wang was slightly stunned. Feeling the gaze from a distance, Lao Wang smiled helplessly. Really quick reaction, so soon to find it. What is coming will always come, and Lao Wang is certainly not afraid of whether it destroys the timeline or not. He quickly walked into the quantum mechanics laboratory. Facing the calm gaze of Ancient One, Lao Wang smiled and nodded. Supreme Mage, long time no see. Halfway through the words, a delicate body has thrown into his arms. Tears slid down and soaked his shoulders. Wang, Director Wang. After holding her for 10 seconds, hope finally broke free from Lao Wang's arms, her face slightly red. You are finally back. I said, the time vortex can't trap me. Lao Wang looked up at Ancient One. This point, perhaps the Supreme Sorcerer has already told you. Ancient One nodded and smiled. The Supreme Sorcerer said that this matter is related to Loki and a man named Thanos. Hope asked hurriedly, who is Thanos? Is Dad okay? Are the others okay? What is the quantum field like? Have you seen Mom? She has 10,000 questions to ask. Don't worry. It's just a mental shock. You will wake up soon. We will talk about the rest later. Lao Wang patted Hope's shoulder, and a stream of true energy entered his body, soothing her panic. Then he looked at Ancient One again. Supreme Sorcerer, let's talk. Ancient One smiled and nodded. Chapter 350 Don't Take the Infinity Stones Away, Part 1. Outside the Azeroth laboratory, somewhere in the wild, the spring breeze was blowing, warm and gentle. I didn't expect it to be you. Ancient One said lightly, it is very dangerous to cross the timeline rashly. It is easy to cause damage to the timeline and even the universe itself. This damage is likely to be reflected back to you. The power of one person cannot fight against the entire universe. When the universe thinks you are a virus, your ending will not be very good. I think you know this very well. I didn't cause the timeline to be disordered, did I? I'm the guardian of time, not the destroyer. Lao Wang smiled slightly, and if I'm not mistaken, there have been many parallel universes in history, and many of them are related to mages, right? Speaking of destroying the timeline, maybe Kamataj should examine itself more instead of blaming others? Ancient One was silent for a moment. From Agamotto to her, the supreme mages of all generations have held the time stone, and of course they inevitably use its power. Magic itself is very dangerous, not to mention time magic. Every interference with the timeline will have unimaginable consequences. Time islands, time and space retention, time loops, time and space confusion. The most terrifying thing is the parallel universe. The universe is a complete combination of time and space, and its own energy is limited. Every time a parallel universe appears, it will inevitably separate a part of the laws from the original universe, causing the strength of the laws of the single universe to decrease. All of this follows the law of conservation of laws. The more parallel universes there are, the weaker the strength of the laws of the single universe, and the more fragile it is. The more likely it is to go wrong. Once a parallel universe is destroyed, it will cause a chain reaction with serious consequences. Therefore, Kamataj has always had very strict orders not to allow arbitrary manipulation of time. However, if you want to fight against dark forces such as Dormammu, you will inevitably have to manipulate time, which she knows very well. From this perspective, Director Wang's time and space travel is actually nothing at all, not to mention that he strictly abides by the rules and has no impact. His travel itself is part of history, and the Ancient One himself is a witness to this. Even as the holder of the Time Stone and the guardian of the universe, she can't say much. Your understanding of time and space is beyond my imagination. Ancient One changed the subject. You had the opportunity to take the cosmic cube and bring it to the present time, but you didn't do it. If two cosmic cubes exist at the same time, it would be like a person suddenly having two hearts. I think this is definitely not a good thing. You are not worried about this, right? Lao Wang smiled. Master Supreme, there is no need to test me. Just say what you want to say. I'm listening. Lao Wang was very direct, and Ancient One couldn't beat around the bush. She thought for a moment and said, it seems that the necklace on your chest is what you rely on to travel through time and space. It can actually interfere with the time stone's positioning of the cosmic cube. It must be a cosmic treasure of the same level as the infinity stones. But this universe cannot give birth to cosmic treasures other than the infinity stones. Nothing is absolute, is it? Lao Wang asked back. The infinity stones are the embodiment of the basic laws of the universe. It is not surprising, even if there are other manifestations. Doesn't the Rainbow Bridge have similar abilities to the Space Stone? Doesn't Captain Marvel have similar powers? The Rainbow Bridge is far from being comparable to the Space Stone, and it is related to the Space Stone. Carol Danvers' power comes from the Space Stone. Ancient One said, every time the universe reincarnates, different cosmic treasures appear. This time there are only 6 infinity stones. So the necklace on your chest comes from outside the universe. I thought it belonged to another parallel universe, but now it seems that it is obviously not. It comes from an extra dimension outside the parallel universe, and it may not even belong to this multiverse. Then what? Lao Wang asked. So what? At any point in time in a single universe, 2 identical infinity stones cannot exist at the same time, but 2 cosmic treasures with similar abilities can exist at the same time. Similar but not the same. At least it will not lead to the emergence of parallel universes. Ancient One said, the more powerful an object is, the greater its impact on the operation of the universe itself. And in a single universe, there is no object more powerful than a cosmic treasure. This is a bit idealistic. Some existences transcend the universe itself. Lao Wang smiled. So the appearance of this necklace makes the future blurred and invisible. Ancient One said, your necklace and the time gem interfere with the laws of time at the same time and resist each other. So even with the power of the time gem, I can't see the future clearly. From the moment that necklace came to this world, the future has been full of uncertainty. In the past, I only needed to look at 100 million futures to see through the evolution of the timeline. But now it is impossible. The future is inherently uncertain. The moment of the Big Bang cannot determine the present more than 10 billion years later. Lao Wang said, if you have time, you can learn about quantum mechanics, which is very interesting. But there are always rules to follow. And your necklace makes the rules that can be followed even more elusive. Ancient One said, you have made my job of protecting the universe more difficult, thousands of times more difficult. But if I stand on your side, then the impact I bring is positive, right? Lao Wang smiled. Supreme Sorcerer, I said there is no need to beat around the bush. What do you want to say? Just say it directly. In the trillions of futures I have seen, 99.99% of the results are that you eventually left this universe with the necklace. In some of the futures, you also took away 6 infinity stones. Ancient One said. So, the infinity stones are the embodiment of the basic laws of the universe. They can be destroyed, and the laws can return to the universe, but they cannot leave. Once you leave this universe, the laws of the universe will become imperfect. Ancient One's eyes are burning. I need you to make a promise. What promise? Don't take the infinity stones. Ancient One looked at Lao Wang, his face calm. Don't destroy this universe. Lao Wang looked at Ancient One. She looked calm on the surface, but she gave people a very dangerous feeling. At this moment, Lao Wang was very sure, if he refused, the consequences would be serious. As for how serious it would be, he was not in the mood to think about it, and he didn't want to see it. A very reasonable request. Lao Wang touched the necklace. So, what benefits do I have? What benefits do you want? Ancient One asked. Compared to the infinity stones, any benefits are not worth mentioning. Lao Wang smiled slightly. I don't ask for much. What do you think of 10 artifacts? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.